It was funny. There's a big cake, and Andrea gives John a big piece of cake, and he just looks at me. Like, what am I going to do with this? Are you going to eat that? He goes, I'll have a bite. He looks great.
He told me 80.
Yeah. He apparently last night was, from what Andrea said, it was the first time he's worn some of the new clothes. I guess Johnny got him an outfit for his birthday or whatever, so he had on a pair, just shorts and a t-shirt, but it's the first stuff that he's had that fits him right. Everything else is his old clothes. He looked great. Looked great.
Good. First tweet that I come upon this morning is an XFL playoff tiebreaker. I feel as if I need to lie down.
I'm sorry about your Twitter follows. David. He's smaller than Mike.
Oh yeah. No, he looks good.
Yeah.
For John.
Yeah. He almost lost his person.
I mean, put it this way: is the first digit may not be a 3.
Oh, there's no way.
Well, let me tell you, he was 340.
No, there's no way.
But,
no way.
I mean, I don't know if we have pictures from our early days together, but that's probably, I mean, I met him in 2003. You met him in 2004. I was bummed. I wanted to be there.
It was fun. It was nice.
What time was it? 6 to 9 type deal? 7 to 10?
7 to 9. Like he got there right around 7. We left about 9. Left right around 9. There were still people there.
Place packed?
It was busy, not packed.
Yeah. Yeah, Canada Relief. 10 seconds. Felipe, I barely hear you, by the way.
Yeah, I'm talking low. 10. Here we go.
There we go.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Top of the morning to you. How's your week gone? You can see the finish line from here. Let's ride this sucker home, shall we? How the heck are you? Miller and Moulton here on the Florida Sports Network. FloridaSportsNetwork.com. Thanks so much for being with us. It's always a football Friday, but nothing stands in the way of Lord Stanley and his chase of the Sacred Cup. Oh, yeah. And there's plenty of NBA playoff drama. And while we're at it, let's throw in some baseball suspensions as well. Top of the morning to you, Mark. How are you?
I'm doing good. No sticky stuff in the room today, so we should be good to get through the show.
Well, use the rubbing alcohol and bring your own sweat. And then tell me how the room smells and feels. We'll get to that in a little bit. Can a nation breathe easier? Did the Tampa Bay Lightning take one for world diplomacy and the Western Hemisphere remaining emotionally intact? Did they sacrifice one for the proverbial team last night?
Well, I know they don't sacrifice for anyone, but they were depleted, and it showed last night.
Yeah.
It really showed.
Now, I know Vasilevsky hates being pulled from games. I would have taken him out in the third period, and I would have said to him, this ain't on you, bud. Okay? You got nothing in front of you tonight. Nothing. We're gonna need big effort the rest of the way to get out of this series till we get our boys healthy. Okay,
Right. You can lose 2 more just like this. We need you to play really hard 3 more times. That's all
Right.
that matters.
So Toronto doing to Tampa Bay what Tampa Bay did to Toronto. In fact, they may even done it a little bit better.
Difference was Tampa never quit playing, never quit hitting, and at least tried as badly as they could is to make that game, at least from a physical standpoint, competitive. They never quit hitting.
No. And because of it, Toronto made sure that with 6 minutes to go and a 4-goal lead, they put their number one power play unit out on the ice. It's like, okay, if you want to play, we're going to play. We were willing to do the last 7, 8, 9 minutes of this game and have it be like an exhibition game in early October. But no, you want to keep playing. And if that's the case, then I'm going to put my boys out there. And don't complain about it afterwards.
I don't think they'll be complaining, but mental notes are taken.
Oh, yeah. Tampa Bay doesn't complain about anything. They don't miss a thing, but they don't complain about a thing. Right. Every time they kept going to Cooper on the bench, did you just get the sense he had like a smirk on his face? Like he was just kind of looking around, taking it all in, going, oh, you guys are just helping me before game 3 and game 4. That's what you're all doing right now. For those that didn't watch, I got to admit, I am so glad it was not Sean McDonough and Ray Ferraro doing the game. Because you actually had people who were observing the little nuances. And they were talking about what was going on in the Lightning penalty box and how the Leafs fans were getting rowdy. And so the biggest, toughest guy on the Lightning, Pat Maroon, basically said, I'll take care of this. And he put himself in the penalty box, even though there was no reason for him to be in the penalty box. It's kind of like the lead bouncer showed up and said, I know I'm not supposed to work this Thursday night, but I'm working the front door. And all the other bouncers went, okay, Pat, all right. And then when the Lightning got a minor penalty that someone had to serve, Maroon looked over at Cooper like, I got this. I'm going to the box. And so then Maroon could be in the box. Loved it. Loved every bit of it. And Maroon turns around and, imagine you're in the stands and, yeah, you're a little liquored up. But Pat Maroon, 6'6", 240, before he puts on skates and shoulder pads. And so you're mouthing off to Corey Perry, little 5'11", 200-pound Corey Perry. And then all of a sudden, Pat Maroon shows up as his wingman. And Pat starts giving it back to everybody. The lady next to him to the left, the guys on the other side to the right, turned around to the 2 people behind him, was like, you guys want to get in line? And they're like, no, we're good. We're good. There we go. That's what I'm talking about. Now we got a series. 1-1, some fights, crowd getting involved, players Mark, good thing they got the high glass now. When you first started doing hockey, you could still have incidents between the crowd
Very much so. You could
and the penalty box.
the player could easily squirt the water at the fan,
Right.
which then could lead to the fan throwing the beer on the player, and then things could get ugly.
Exactly.
Yes, David. The high glass is a good thing.
Right. Next thing you know, you got a doming in the crowd and all hell breaks loose. Right. So I was enjoying it last night. Got to admit. Now it helped that my team is, taking care of business.
I'd started yelling at the announcers at that point because they started going to how the fan decorum and how they're supposed to act. And I'm like, do you know what they're paying for tickets in Toronto?
Well, somebody.
Are you out of your mind? They can say what, as long as, I don't really care for people to use off-color language, but if you can keep your language intact and basically follow the FCC regulations that we have to, because there are kids at games, and I think it's awful when people start dropping F-bombs everywhere. It shows that they're not that smart. But if you want to go give it to them, there's nothing more fun than giving it to a player and the player giving it back. You're paying $500, $600, $700 for those tickets. Are you kidding me?
Well,
say what you want.
And the analyst, was saying, come on, you're not putting on a jersey. You should, and something like get them out of there. And I think it was the play-by-play guy who goes, hey, hold on. You know what they paid for those seats?
I didn't hear it because I was busy doing my own play-by-play, screaming at the color guy, going, "What is the matter with you?" Wife's looking at me like, "What's the matter with you?"
Yeah, that's the playoffs. Cut me some slack. So, by the way, just a little note: home team so far, every series in hockey has played 2 games. Home teams are 8-8. That's for what it's worth. Yeah, that's all. The whole home ice 8-8, and 6 of the 8 series are 1-1. So you got that going for you, which is nice.
Well, and you've got the one series where you're up 2-0 and have won both road games. Your team's off to a great start. I'm wondering if you heard from Seth Everett yesterday.
As a matter of fact, I have not.
No?
Although I did get a text from a listener. Okay, because when Seth came on Wednesday, he was talking about he was going to go to game 2 of the Rangers and the Devils, and he was bringing his daughters and how into TikTok they are at the hockey games. Of course, remember, last night he wasn't sitting with them.
Right.
I think I'm a good sport. I think I'm a good friend. And so I have not texted, and I have numerous Devils fans that I consider friends. I have not said a word. Okay. Not
Little
a word.
superstition. Don't you want to get done with the series first? I mean, there's always, you don't want to text early.
Totally. In fact, got a text last night at 3-1 going to the third. And I told them, I go, plenty of hockey left. But relax.
Now, 4-1, the early tip-in goal, I think that was over then.
Yeah, but I wasn't going to say it. There's no need to say it. The scoreboard's saying it. But did get a text from a Rangers fan who listens to the show when they tipped it in to make it 4-1, who sent the text and said, do you think you should ask Seth what he's watching on TikTok? And I'm like, no, not going to go there. Not going to go there. Since he said we're so obnoxious.
Right.
Which, Seth, and we love Seth, one of our 5 favorite guests. And he's been with us for over 15 years, for a total of $0. All right. So we love Seth. But Seth is obnoxious. And we love his obnoxiousness, but he's obnoxious. And when Seth called another fan base obnoxious, A, that's rich, and B, maybe it's the highest compliment. I don't know.
And it could be both.
Right.
There is no doubt. But the hockey playoffs going strong. The NBA playoffs, well, they're giving us a little drama as well.
Yeah, a lot of drama. We don't know who's playing from one game to the next. And we don't know who's getting ejected from one game to the next. In baseball, they don't know what sticky stuff is allowed and what sticky stuff is not. In basketball, I don't know what stomp gets you ejected for and what stomp doesn't.
Depends on how much you incite the crowd, David, and your past reputation has a lot to do with it.
If you ask any man What's worse, being stomped in the chest or kicked in the woo
In the ding ding?
south of the border? Fully exposed, no athletic supporter on. Every man would say it would be the latter. And yet, apparently, it's the former that gets you ejected. And the latter, we're good with that. Why don't you stick around and play the rest of the game? Wait, what? I mean, if the Golden State Warriors were watching any of that before their game in Sacramento, that only got them more fired up. What the hell's Embiid still doing in the game? It's a good question.
It's a really good question. Inquiring minds want to know, David. But they like Embiid and they don't like Draymond.
Exactly. You know where you stand with the officials right there. What's worse, stomp in the chest or a kick in the
Could be a poll question. But I think we know what the answer to the poll question is before we ever put it up.
I don't know. I saw the answer last night. Apparently, stomp in the chest is worse.
Miller and Moulton, EJ Hradek, and Pat Kirwan will join us in the 8 o'clock hour, the starting five, a mere 25 minutes away right here on the Florida Sports Network.
Hello, friends and family of Southwest Florida. Are you looking to tap into the electric vehicle market? Well, look no further because we here at Southwest Florida Golf Carts have just what you need. E-bikes, golf carts, LSVs, scooters, and more. Come down and talk with one of our experienced sales reps, have a soda and a smile, and you could be cruising the streets in your new EV today. Stop by the store or visit our website at flgolfcarts.com and enter for a chance to win $100 off your next purchase by answering John's monthly sports question.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6 and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
The waterways of Naples are a beauty to behold, and the Bayfront Inn has multiple ways for guests to enjoy the water and have some fun. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn. Something for everyone. On 5th Avenue in Naples.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network. Because the series is 3-0, it wouldn't shock me for the NBA to suspend Embiid now for a game.
Embiid sounded after the game like you wouldn't mind it, how sore he was.
Well, he's going to sit out either way.
Felipe, did you see it?
He's not in the room. I'll answer it for you. David's is Mets, Giants, Rangers, Knicks.
Rutgers. There you go.
Mine is Red Wings, Pistons, Tigers, Michigan State.
Yeah. I grew up in North Central Jersey. So those were my teams. And the Devils didn't exist till I was 16. So I was already a Rangers fan. I mean, hell, we'd already been beaten by the Islanders like 4 times. So. Have you followed any of the Twitter involving the A's moving at all?
Just that Mark Davis isn't very happy about it. His shots were pretty funny towards the A's, but not anything more than that.
Which is hysterical. Because Dave Stewart has taken to Twitter. And, first he was like, hey, this is painful. This is home. This is family. I did everything I could, the best I knew to prevent this from happening, but, kind of knew it would happen. And so somebody then said to him, hey, should we sue? Kind of like Cleveland did the NFL. And then this way we can get one of the expansion teams, etc. And Dave Stewart simply said, sounds good in theory. There is no way anything can get done with that mayor/city council. Been there, done that. Here we are.
Interesting tweet here. In a 10-year period, the Las Vegas will have added the A's, Aces, Raiders, Desert Dogs, Golden Knights, a Pro Bowl, a Super Bowl, an NFL draft, a Final Four, a Formula One Grand Prix, and a college football national championship. Not bad.
And they didn't need any of it. They already were number 1 or 2 in tourism.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
21 minutes past the hour, top of the morning to you. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Pat Kirwan, EJ Hradek, talking plenty of football and hockey a little bit later on in the show. So we referenced it in a joking way, but a lot went on in the NBA yesterday. First off, about mid-afternoon, I text the two of you. We never have one of those texts, 5 minutes after the show leaves. We're done. 10:05 a.m. The three of us, I may talk to you. I may text Felipe. He may text you. He may text me. We never have a group text.
Never.
And I don't know, maybe this was news that was not worthy of a group text. but I thought it was. All of a sudden, Kawhi Leonard was not playing for the LA Clippers.
Kind of a big deal.
It was disappointing news.
I thought it was. It's a series that we liked. And so, you know how in the NFL, when a starting quarterback doesn't play and we follow the point spread, what's so-and-so worth? And if you can get a line to move 2 points in football, that's a lot. At 3, it's like, wow. Did you see how much the line moved?
Well, what were the Clippers? They were 4.5 point. Phoenix was favored, right?
By 2.5.
2.5.
Did you see what the line was at tip?
It had to be 6.5.
7.5. They only had about 6-7 hours. I mean, it was basically a point an hour. It was going up. And because of it, the Clippers covered.
The Suns
Phoenix
covered.
No, Clippers covered.
Well, the Clippers,
Suns,
that's
Suns
right.
only won by 5. So Suns won, Clips covered. And this is where sometimes you get the break of the schedule. Like the Heat had 3 days in between game 2 and game 3. Don't know if that's a break or not. Probably a break for Milwaukee. Gives Giannis an extra day to rest his back. The Clippers could use a 3-day break. And instead, they got to come back and play tomorrow. Game 3. Or game 4, sorry. So things seem to be, once again, Phoenix getting another break. When they went to the finals 2 years ago, they had every series, they had a key guy hurt on their opponent. And it's happening again.
Sometimes you just got to be lucky.
Yeah, we've talked about
We
it.
say it all the time. Fans don't like to hear that their team got lucky. They want to hear that we were the best team. And you are when you win a championship.
Yeah.
In order to get there, you need a break or two. If you want to call it a break, you want to call it luck, you want to call it good fortune, you can call it a lot of different things. But you need breaks.
You also need to be the healthiest team.
Yeah.
And
That's part of it.
that in and of itself is a break.
That's part of it. Like last year in the Stanley Cup Finals. I mean, you didn't tell me it wasn't a break for Colorado that Braden Point basically couldn't play? It's kind of a big deal. I mean, on a team that's got a handful of Hall of Famers, he's slowly emerging as maybe their best player. So him not being there is kind of a big deal when just about every game in the series was a 1-goal game after game 1. So, yeah, just like now, you don't think Toronto's getting a break? 9 minutes in the series, Hedman's hurt. That's a huge break. You need them sometimes. But Felipe, I did not get a chance to ask you this because you walked away during the break. Did you see Embiid's kick to the groin?
I actually did not.
Embiid is lying underneath the basket on the ground. The guy has dunked on him, and he kind of stands over him.
Certainly stepped over him.
Right. And we all know nowadays, what's the worst thing you can do to somebody?
Well, you can't disrespect them, David.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you. It's not hit the shot and win the game. That's secondary. The worst thing you could do is disrespect someone. And so Embiid, while lying on the court, took his right leg and kicked the Brooklyn Net player right in the groin.
Oh.
Oh, yes. And was not ejected.
So he'll be suspended, right?
I think so. I think the fact that it's 3-0 makes it a lot easier for Silver in the league to do it.
But it ended up being a very close game, tied in the final minute. Philly made the winning plays. One of them, by the way, Embiid flying across the lane for a dramatic block.
On one leg, which is pretty impressive in and of itself.
Yeah, it really was.
I did see the Harden ejection, though.
Yes.
I think that one was not necessary.
I agree.
I think it was just a push-off.
I agree. Then that's another thing. If you were watching the game, a player on each side get ejected with 8 minutes to go, and you're like, well, this isn't as bad as Embiid kicking the guy south of the border. Come on now. What are you doing? You're the same officials from the first half, right?
But one leads to the other. Even with a kick to the groin, they start clamping in on a game because they don't want it to get out of hand. So we've seen that many times, that while the groin kick was deserving of an ejection or certainly a technical, sometimes when they let something go, they will call things tighter later in the game. That is the nature of officials.
But think about if they had ejected Embiid. This was first quarter. Does Brooklyn win? And then what if they follow the ejection up with a suspension? Is this all of a sudden a series? Is Brooklyn going to hold serve at home and this sucker's going to be 2-2 going back to Philly? Now, we all know who the better team is and what have you. But also, Mark, you and I especially, in hockey, the games can add up. In the NBA, too, the games can add up. You know, if you're Philly, you just want to get Brooklyn out of here. 4, no more than 5. We got Boston coming up.
Well, that's what we were talking about yesterday with the Heat and the Milwaukee Bucks, that the Heat had an opportunity. We don't think the Heat are going to win the series, even if they would have got that game. I didn't think the Heat were going to win the series. But, boy, they're putting a little tax on Milwaukee for the rest of that series, having to grind it out a little bit longer, make this 2-month run even more difficult.
So Philly up 3-0, got a huge break with Embiid not getting ejected. And, you know, Mark, I think you're onto something. You've got this NBA justice thing figured out more than me. You thought there was a chance Draymond was getting suspended, and I thought that you needed to be, beaten about the head and chest that you were so wrong. And you're like, I don't know, Moulton. I got a better read on this NBA justice than you. So what do you think the odds are? Embiid not ejected, but could be suspended.
I think it's at least 60-40, yes.
And the funny thing is, what was Embiid saying after the game? How tired and sore he is.
He's actually around, his legs a mess. I mean, he played through a lot of pain in that game yesterday. There was you watched it and you saw it.
He sounds like a guy who would love a day off, courtesy of the league.
Well, it all depends on his previous history, apparently. So I guess we'll see.
And he did
that's
not.
Why I only have it at 60-40.
Now, because he was, on the floor, he didn't have a chance to run around the court and egg on the crowd. Also, that apparently plays a role.
Well, I think that's because of the bad leg. He may not have had the chance. He just didn't want to waste the energy. But we'll see how the NBA justice rules with the Embiid kick to the ding-ding. Next, it's David Moulton in the starting 5 right here on the Florida Sports Network.
Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here. Your party's not here. You're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa Filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, Only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6 and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
What's your schedule again? All right, it might be hockey if I do something. I may take in my first Jacksonville Iceman game tonight.
I'm sorry.
Game 1 of the playoffs, Mark. I'm bored. Need something to do. Since I'm babysitting tomorrow night, got to do something tonight.
I should send you, if I wish I had it in digital. My grandfather babysat me when he was writing. I was an infant.
Right.
He did his article on getting babysitter of the year while the whole family went to the Michigan State game, and he stayed back and took care of me. Pretty funny. He was a pretty good writer.
That's cool. By the way, there are days off for television. That's why in the first round, you got too many series going on. If you don't take a day off, you can't get all the games televised. So, yeah, Nick, it wouldn't have mattered last night. One team right now is just playing a lot better than the other. Did you see Sims come out and say he doesn't think Brady's ever going to do games either?
Oh, really?
Yeah, Phil Sims did an interview and was asked about Brady. And he goes, I I don't know why he'd want to. He goes, I've done it. He goes, but I was a decent quarterback. He's Tom Brady.
Well, not to mention he made okay money. Those guys didn't make enough money that they couldn't work. They had to do something. They're not making the money these guys are making now where they don't have to work.
Although his Fox contract, if he were to do it, he would actually earn more.
I understand that.
Yes.
But Phil Simms needed to go to work.
Yeah, he really did. Yeah, to set yourself up with generational wealth and all that. Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's true.
$15 seconds.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
22 minutes before the hour. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Pat Kirwan, EJ Hradek, football and hockey in our 8 o'clock hour. A lot of other stuff in and around all that. We've had a couple poll questions this week. If we have one today, we will have had a poll question in a majority of the days of the week. That's like the broadcasting equivalent for Miller and Moulton of getting struck by lightning. That's what the odds are of that happening.
There's a lot of drama going on right now.
Right. I know. Is there enough for a third poll question in a week? We will decide. But right now it is time for
The Starting Five. 5 stories you need to know. It's the Starting Five on Miller and Moulton. Here's number 1.
Yeah, it turns out no Hedman, no chance. At least on a Thursday night in Toronto. John Tavares with the first Maple Leafs playoff hat trick in 20 years. The big guns seemingly all scored for the Leafs. Tampa down 3-0, 6-1. They lost 7-2. Game 3 tomorrow night, 7 o'clock, TBS. Just want to point that out. I don't want anybody missing the first few minutes of the game because you're going, where the hell's the game? 7 o'clock tomorrow night, TBS. Game 3, Lightning and Leafs. Hedman's day-to-day, aren't we all? Rangers beat the Devils 5-1. If it sounds familiar, it's because it is. It's been the score of the first 2 games of the series. Kreider's had 2 goals in both games. Patrick Kane turned back the clock last night. Kaner with a goal and 2 assists.
It was a pretty goal.
Yeah, it was. He actually looked like Patrick Kane last night. That's frightening. If he all of a sudden is going to look like Patrick Kane, you know what? They're not bad. They're pretty damn good if all of a sudden Patrick Kane's going to show up. Just saying. Second best goalie in the world. Patrick Kane walks through that door? Game 3 Saturday at the Garden. Colorado even things up with Seattle. 3-2. They were down 2-0 after 1. Scored 2 goals 48 seconds apart midway through the second to get back in it. Found their legs, found their game, kind of controlled things the rest of the way. Got the game winner late third. Series shifts to Seattle. Think about it. Seattle had playoff baseball last year for the first time in nearly 20 years. This will be their first time having a playoff game if you don't count the WNBA team, indoors since the Sonics. Vegas, even their series with Winnipeg, 5-2. Golden Knights, the winner. Mark Stone with 2 goals. Vegas scored 3 in the third to snap a 2-2 tie. Game 3 of that series is Saturday. Tonight, got a bunch of game 3s. Panthers, 7:30, TNT.
Can get in for $100. Check StubHub during the last break. You can sit upstairs for $100. You can sit downstairs for under $200.
Bruins Panthers tied at a game apiece. 7:30 TNT. Carolina's up 2-0. They're on Long Island. Dallas and Minnesota are 1-1. Series now in St. Paul. Edmonton, LA 1-1. Series shifts to SoCal. Home teams are 8-8 so far in the NHL playoffs. NBA playoffs. Road teams went 2-1 last night. Philly. Embiid doesn't get ejected for kicking a guy in the first quarter. Comes up with a huge block in the final minute to protect the lead. Harden had 21 points, 10 assists before he got ejected in the fourth quarter. Tyrese Maxey led Philly in scoring again. Hit a big three with 44 seconds to go to snap a tie. Sixers covered the 4.5 by beating Brooklyn 102-97.
Maxey might be my favorite player in the league right now. I love watching him play.
Really?
I really enjoy watching him. I know he's not the best player. I'm not trying to say that. I really like his game. Last year, Philly knows. Last year, I watched a Philly game. I came back and go, I love this guy. And I surprised Felipe because we had a Maxey conversation in the morning.
A lot of energy, really explosive, built for the playoffs.
Well, when we had Rob Ellis on out of Philly earlier in the week, we said, if Harden can be the distributor and let Embiid be option 1 and Maxey be option 2, this becomes a very dangerous team. If Harden insists on shooting more than Maxey, not so much. The one home team to win, come on, like Sacramento was going to beat Golden State last night. I mean, out Draymond, they were out for blood. I mean, heck, even Steph at times looked like he wasn't smiling. I mean, that's how intense last night's game was at Golden State.
He had a great line, Steph. When they said Draymond has history, Steph said, so do we.
Steph with 36.
Uh-huh.
They were up 12 at the half and pretty much Heisman'd Sacramento the rest of the way. 114-97. Game 4 not till Sunday, though. Game 4 not till Sunday of that series. Meanwhile, the Clippers are suddenly not just without Paul George, they're without Kawhi Leonard. A sprained right knee. That was the knee that he tore his ACL in a few years ago. They say this injury is unrelated to the ACL tear, but it is the same knee. He apparently hurt it at the very end of game 1. Played game 2 in it and was brilliant, but came out of game 2 and the knee swelled up. And so they tapped Ty Lue on the shoulder yesterday morning and said, yeah, he can't play. Ty was like, what?
I believe that was his exact quote.
Yeah. What? Booker with 45, by the way. Norman Powell with 42 in a losing effort for the Clippers. Phoenix up 2-1. Game 4 of that series is tomorrow. So
I'm really happy you put that in a losing effort for the Clippers because a lot of our audience was going, who? What?
Right. They're like Colin Powell? No, Norman Powell.
There you go.
Norman Powell with 42. Tonight, 3 NBA playoff games, but the Heat are not one of them. The Heat with another day off. Tomorrow night, 7:30 ESPN, the Heat and the Bucks. Celtics, Hawks, Cavs, Knicks, Nuggets, Wolves on the agenda for tonight. Max Scherzer suspended 10 games. That's an automatic thing if you get ejected for, having too much sticky stuff on you. He was going to appeal. Then he found out 2 things. One, there's no independent arbiter. You're appealing to like Rob Manfred's right-hand guy. So the odds are really not in your favor. And number 2, if he takes his suspension immediately, he can come back on April 30th and pitch the final game of a 3-game series against the Braves. And so they talked him into taking it immediately. So Scherzer suspended 10 games, no appeal. Mets are 6-1 on their West Coast trip. They beat the Dodgers 9-4 last night. Pete Alonso with 9 homers already in the season and 4 more RBIs last night. Fernando Tatis Jr. is back in the majors. Between injuries and a PED suspension, we hadn't seen him since 2021. He went 0 for 5, 2 strikeouts, made a hell of a play in right field late to help the Padres beat the Diamondbacks 7-5. Yankees scored 5 in the first, beat the Angels 9-3. Red Sox with 6 in the third, beat the Twins 11-5. Red Sox in last place in the East, yet they're 10-10. Pirates with 4 in the first, beat the Reds 4-3. Pittsburgh's 13-7 on the season. Will it start showing up in the attendance? Last night, not so much, just 14,000, but it bears watching with the Penguins not making the playoffs for the first time in 17 years. Will the Pittsburgh sports fan after the draft go, hey, maybe we should check out a Pirates game?
And it's such a great ballpark.
Is it ever? Awesome location, scenic. Yes. By the way, Pirates 4-3, 2 hours, 9 minutes. Colorado shut out the Phils 5-0, snapping an 8-game skid. So the Dodgers scored 4 in the ninth and beat the Cubs 6-2. James Outman with a grand slam. But the big story is Mookie Betts.
Played shortstop.
Oh, no, wait. He played shortstop for the first time since 2011 at any level of professional baseball, number one. Number two, he started the day in a hospital in Los Angeles because his wife was giving birth to a child. Honey, you did great. Congratulations. I got to go. Gets on a plane, flies to Chicago, gets to Wrigley. It's in the first inning, so he's not in the lineup. He pinch hits in the seventh. He gets a hit, and then he plays shortstop. And apparently, he's going to stay there. Remember, this is Betts, who, when Judge was a free agent, said to the Dodgers, hey, I'll play second. If you sign him, you can put him in right. I'll play second. The Dodgers are like, you're a Gold Glove right fielder. He's like, no, man, trust me, I came up as an infielder. I'll be good. I'll love it. Betts is fired up.
Turn two playing short.
Did you see the play he made?
Yeah, made a hell of a play.
Going to his left, made it, stepped on the bag, the throw.
Had to get airborne on the throw. It was fantastic.
6-2 Dodgers. They get back to 500. They're 10-10. The Diamondbacks, yesterday we wondered, Madison Bumgarner not pitching well, throwing batting practice. How long was he for the majors? Apparently not very. Diamondbacks are eating $34 million by releasing Bumgarner with nearly 2 full years left on his contract. We'll see if anybody picks up the lefty, who's thrown batting practice for about a year and a half now. People were speculating about the Rays because of their injuries, plus their staff's so young. Mark, problem is right now he can't pitch.
That's where their pitching coach, if he sees something, I mean, there are a handful of pitching coaches in baseball, and I don't know what their names are, but you see it all the time that someone looks at film and says, let me see the film from 4 years ago. He's now doing this, or he's not doing this. I think we can fix him. If somebody thinks they can fix what's wrong, then they take a chance on him. But there's got to be a pitching coach that can literally sell to the GM going, it's right here. Here's what it is.
Well, considering the Mets have 3 starters on the injured list or suspended, I'm wondering if the Mets pick him up. Because also, who's Bumgarner going to listen to? Not many people. He's a veteran, stubborn guy. But if Scherzer or Verlander actually saw something, he might listen to them. NFL, Cowboys pick up the 5th-year option on wide receiver CeeDee Lamb. Matt Patricia's with the Eagles. Left the Patriots to become a defensive assistant in Philadelphia. Bills extend their kicker Tyler Bass for 4 more years. He's now the 4th highest paid kicker in the league. And Bijan Robinson, the Texas running back, who's going to go in the first round, he divulged yesterday he only made 2 visits. Only 2 teams wanted to visit with him and talk to him. The Eagles and the Tampa Bay Bucks. Golf, the PGA Tour is having their team event in New Orleans, the Zurich. 11 under is the lead. The Fitzpatrick brothers, Matt and Alex, are 1 shot back at 10 under. Alex is on like one of those European tours that's like in the minors. Had to get a special exemption to be in the field. LPGA Tour, the Chevron, which is a major, replaces the Dinah Shore. Pian Chen of Taiwan has a 1-shot lead at 5 under. 6-way tie at second, including Nelly Korda, who had 7 birdies yesterday. LIV Tours in Australia, where it's being met by big crowds. I mean, Greg Norman's kind of popular there. And Norman saying we are openly talking about a women's tour next year. And the LPGA has said we have talked with LIV. Now, they got to meet certain conditions, and we got to see how our sponsors feel. But the LPGA Tour right now is open to playing ball with LIV. We'll see.
Would be fascinating. Of the sport washing that Live Tour is trying to do and then get involved in the women's game would be fascinating how it would be received by the golf world.
And there have been many an LPGA player that has said, yeah, not crazy about everything behind Live, but have you seen the money they play for versus the money we play for? We'd be crazy not to listen to them. And at 8 minutes before the hour, that was
the starting five every weekday morning at this time on Miller and Moulton.
See, they can do their own thing. Although they're, that yes, they have a relationship now with the PGA Tour. They're doing that joint tournament, the JC Penney. No, it used to be the JC Penney. It's whatever it's going to be called in Naples in December. Okay. But I have a feeling the PGA Tour, the commissioner was in their Pro-Am before this Chevron event. I have a feeling Monahan's on the phone with them going, you're doing what? With who? Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network.
Hello, friends and family of Southwest Florida. Are you looking to tap into the electric vehicle market? Well, look no further, because we here at Southwest Florida Golf Carts have just what you need. E-bikes, golf carts, LSVs, scooters, and more. Come down and talk with one of our experienced sales reps, have a soda and a smile, and you could be cruising the streets in your new EV today. Stop by the store or visit our website at flgolfcarts.com and enter for a chance to win $100 off your next purchase by answering John's monthly sports question.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again.
Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here. Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around and get it.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6, and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN Play of the Day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the Play of the Day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day?
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
That's Clutch with a K. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
I know you couldn't hear that, but I guess Iowa had their presser for their spring football game yesterday. Brian Ferentz's contract is points based. And he was asked, if you're up 24-10 on Wisconsin with 30 seconds left deep in their territory, does it change what you do? And he gave a great answer. I mean, he was pretty defiant going, if this is my last year's offensive coordinator, I'm fine with that. And if we're up 24-10 against Wisconsin with 30 seconds left, I'm pretty fine with that too. I mean, he gave a very defiant, tough answer, but it's a pretty good question.
It's a great question. He was also asked, do you have
I don't have a message for them.
Right. Iowa fans and whatever. No, I don't have a message for them. At least not one that I can express here.
Hey, holding Iowa's feet to the fire. You know what that reminds me of? What an SEC school might do in a press conference.
I'm going to say, all of a sudden, there's a university president or an AD who's getting serious about this.
God, Buck and I were talking the other day about how he got away, how they have used him on the salary cap. I was laughing so hard at how Craig used to pay him. He was telling me some of the stories. God, that was funny.
By the way, are we sure that the company got fired? I thought they were threatening to fire him.
Would you consider Culver's fast food?
No.
Okay, because if so, I had fast food yesterday. Brought my daughter lunch. The Culver's double's okay.
I know technically most people would qualify it as fast
Drive-through.
food. I know there is a drive-through. I know. I have to admit, I'm not a customer. So that's probably why I don't consider it.
You pretty much wait every time because they sent you like they
Right.
pretty much are going to stick the number on your thing and you're going to wait.
Right. It's another thing. Like their service is not fast.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Hour 2 of Miller and Moulton on this Friday. Hope you've had a good week. Hope you spent a decent part of it with us. We've had a good week here on the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Pat Kirwan and EJ Hradek talking draft and Stanley Cup playoffs just an hour away. Did you see the biggest understatement of the year yesterday?
The biggest understatement of the year.
Yes. And if you saw it or heard it, you would know what I'm talking about immediately. And virtually every single person listening right now, because most everyone who's listening right now lives in Florida. I mean, you know, we got our guy out in San Diego, my mom, all right, your buddy, you know, up in Michigan. I mean, you know, I got a couple of other people in Jersey. I mean, you know, we've got 9 to 13 people that are listening outside of the state right now. But
yeah, and of course, our one guy on the Twitch chat room who listens, you know, all like travels the world and listens to us to make us completely jealous of what we are as humans. But that's all right. He said, you know, he's on some island somewhere right now.
Yes. You know, Spitz is in Boston, you know, right. We got our guy last time he was listening to us from India. Right. Mm-hmm. So, but everybody in Florida yesterday was, well, they had an alarm clock set for them. The Florida Division of Emergency Management with the 4:45 a.m. wake-up call. That's 3:45 a.m. to you in the Panhandle. And obviously, we were not happy. Some people took it in stride. Some people, went to the state capitol in Tallahassee and tried to pass a law that said that you can't have these things go off between 10 p.m. and 8 a.m. So the Florida Division of Emergency Management, Mark, took to Twitter, and this was their first sentence. We know a 4:45 a.m. wake-up call isn't ideal, comma. Really? That's your lead? It's not ideal.
But we thought you had to get to the bus for school.
Right. You know what's not ideal? Okay. When you run into a series of red lights and you're just a couple of seconds off. You can't quite get into the green flow of traffic. And so you go a 5-minute stretch where you hit 3 lights in a row. That's not ideal.
$4:45, loud phone alarms, vault past less than ideal.
I think so. I think
a public nuisance.
I think that's an understatement, but that's me. How many of you yesterday morning at 4:45 a.m. felt like you'd been shot? And the reason I bring it up is earlier than that this morning, we're in a condo. It's an older condo, but I put a lot of new stuff in it already. All new electrical outlets, smoke alarms, the whole deal. And, these alarms, if they're brand new with new batteries, they should last a while. I've only been in the condo 6-7 months. 3:30 in the morning, baby.
No.
Oh, yeah. And the alarm talks to you.
Yes.
Like Siri.
Mm-hmm. Fire. Right.
I've never had one of those before. I've never had a 21st century smoke alarm. Because even when I lived in the house in Fort Myers for 20 years, I just, I bought the house with the smoke alarms and I just kept them.
Now, David, that's happened to me. That's happened to me, and all of my alarms are they're all connected. There's lots of alarms. So you don't necessarily know what alarm is responsible for the dead battery that is sending the fire through your house at unbelievable times.
Right. You have a battery going low battery. Yes. And so now remember, I sleep in my room. Wife sleeps in her room. We're directly across from one another. I, of course, slept through it because there's not an alarm that's been able to wake me up ever. Emergency broadcast system, I was already up.
My wife slept through the emergency broadcast system. Did not wake her up. Woke the daughter up. Did not wake the wife up.
So Thursday morning, 4:45 a.m., emergency broadcast system. Friday morning, 3:30 a.m., the brand new smoke alarms, which should not have batteries that are dying, apparently have batteries that are dying. Yep. Woke up the whole condo. 3:30.
That's outstanding.
Right.
That's called being neighborly.
Right. Mark, according to the Florida Division of Emergency Management, that's less than ideal.
Now, I have a couple follow-up questions for this because I did not ask you. We brought this up on air of what your wife wanted for her birthday a couple of weeks ago. She wanted binoculars.
Correct.
Did you get her the binoculars?
Yes, of course.
Well, you're going to need them now because now people are checking you out. Now you're going to have to sit on that lanai and figure out who is after you based on what happened this morning.
Well, and believe me, she was spying on them at about 3:35 a.m. because once she's up, she grabs those binoculars, walks out on the lanai, and she's convinced the cartel is across the pond. And she's spying on them. And she's obvious, too. I mean, for all the cop shows that she watches, you'd think, she'd try to, I don't know, be undercover in some way.
I'm picturing your wife right now like that Geico commercial where the guy's in the garbage can.
Totally.
Who spies.
Totally. So she walks
out. I'm in position.
Right. She walks out on the lanai in an off-white robe from head to toe. So you've got complete darkness in the development. And then you have this 5'4" figure that you can clearly see from anywhere in the development. Why? Well, because you're darkness and then you have whiteness. Very evident. And of course, and she's standing there with the binoculars. Oh, okay. Good to know. So the peeping Tom is coming from there. The people who can't turn their alarms off.
How long did it take you to find the proper alarm?
No, I found it. It was, where was it? It was in my wife's room. Fortunately, it's the lowest alarm. So,
because with us, me in heights, it was basically the upstairs one where you had to reach over the banister and I had fear of falling. So, it had to be that one.
Right. So, no, little step ladder, 2 steps, hit the button.
Crisis averted.
For now, I'm just hoping to get through the show without all of a sudden having something on the wall talking to me. Fire. Battery is low. By the way, almost as loud as the EAS message yesterday morning. I mean, very similar, actually.
You get off the hook a little bit with the alarm because after yesterday, the neighbors are, at least, they don't know who to blame. Right. They're not used to it by any means, but they're not sure exactly who to blame.
Of course, the funny thing is we didn't look around for a fire. I mean, at first it was telling us there was a fire. And we, both said, come on, there's no fire.
Boy, I didn't take that same approach.
You were running from room to room?
To reference an old commercial. It was a Hertz ad, David.
Look at you. OJ in the airport?
I was OJ in the airport. Hopping over anything that was in my way.
So listen, if anything happens to anyone over the next 2-3 days, all right, the line, take it from the emergency management there. Oh, honey. Boy, that's less than ideal.
Less than ideal.
Right. I mean, I'm sure that's what Ty Lue was thinking when the trainer came up to him 6 hours before the game yesterday and said, hey, Kawhi can't go. And I'll bet he said, well, that's less than ideal.
In fact, what is your sports equivalent? 21,000 is the text line.
Right. Victor Hedman out for the Lightning.
Less than ideal.
Right. It's less than ideal. Right. Huh. Now, see, less than ideal sounds more minor than, no big deal. Well, which is it? It's no big deal. I don't know. That sounds like it's some kind of a deal. Max Scherzer suspended 10 games. Well, that's less than ideal.
Getting kicked in the groin and having the player who kicked you not thrown out of the game.
Less than ideal. Right. The Golden State Warriors having to play without Draymond Green last night. Come to think of it, Steve Kerr, that was less than ideal. So there you have it. Just keep it all in mind. whatever's going to take place right on through the weekend. Work, home, sports, life. Just compare it to our 4:45 a.m. wake-up call on Thursday.
If you're not the cook in your house and your wife says she's gonna make whatever, instead of saying that doesn't sound good, that's just less than ideal, dear.
Less than ideal. I was kind of hoping to go out, but okay.
I was thinking steak.
Right. Turns out you want to do beans and rice. Okay. All right.
Less than ideal for me.
Less than ideal. But, haven't been to Chipotle in a while. All right. It's good. Right. As Deadstruck says in our Twitch chat room, the pimento cheese sandwich at the Masters, for me, less than ideal.
For me, ideal.
By the way, you asked the sports example that's less than ideal. Ryan in our Twitch chat room. How about a defending holding penalty with less than 2 minutes to go in the Super Bowl? It's less than ideal. Right. There you go.
Miller and Moulton, 21,000 is the text line. What's your sports equivalent of less than ideal? We'll try to be a little more than that coming up on the other side. Miller and Moulton.
Hello, friends and family of Southwest Florida. Are you looking to tap into the electric vehicle market? Well, look no further because we here at Southwest Florida Golf Carts have just what you need. E-bikes, golf carts, LSVs, scooters, and more. Come down and talk with one of our experienced sales reps, have a soda and a smile, and you could be cruising the streets in your new EV today. Stop by the store or visit our website at flgolfcarts.com and enter for a chance to win $100 off your next purchase by answering John's monthly sports question.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again.
Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here. Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Wow. You guys have a great sense of humor. Brian, the only thing I'll say, it's Phil Cuzzy, not Frank. Same guy. Maple Leafs not getting past the first round is less than ideal. Nope. Friday night at a company dinner, less than ideal. You gotta talk to the boss. Gotta go, come on, man. I spent enough time here during the week. If we're gonna do this, we gotta do it on like a Wednesday. Giving up the tying goal late third and losing in overtime to Quinnipiac, less than ideal. One playoff win since 57, less than ideal.
Oh, see now, Adam, I don't know, there are a lot of hot teachers out there. least you got something to look at.
Right. Pulling a pitcher with a no-no in the 8th, less than ideal. Yep. Yep. You guys got the hang of this. Right. Daniel Snyder's your owner, less than ideal. Yep. Oh, yeah.
I think we can read a handful of these and figure something out for 7:30.
Felipe, you ready?
He's gone again.
What the hell's going on?
I don't know.
I don't think he's going to be long.
I had it on the Twitch chat. Yes, I'm ready.
Tom Pelissaro with a good tweet. The Ravens Pro Bowl quarterback's not going anywhere. Tyler Huntley plans to sign his restricted tender Monday.
That is funny. I hope he's an analyst one day so that in his,
Totally.
graphic.
Yep. Pro Bowl quarterback 2022.
Yep. All right. 10 seconds.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
21 minutes past the hour. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Thanks so much for being with us. Pat Kirwan, top of the hour. EJ Hradek in a little over an hour. Talk NFL draft, Stanley Cup playoffs. But remember the wake-up call we all got in Florida yesterday, 4:45 a.m.? The emergency management folks said, quote, "We know that was less than ideal," unquote. So we're asking all of you if you could come up with something that, sports or otherwise, that you find to be, quote, less than ideal.
Mark Davis's haircut, less than ideal.
Boy, I'll tell you, you're starting off pretty high. It's kind of like starting off with Letterman's number 2, which was always the best joke on the top 10. You can't start there.
Thought that was pretty good. The Detroit Lions playoff record, less than ideal.
I mean, 1 win since 57. You find that to be less than ideal, huh?
The Marlins NL East chances.
Yes, they
Less
are.
than ideal.
They are less than ideal.
Empire going right to the right. I mean, full tilt. Going number 2 in a public bathroom and realizing that there's no toilet paper. Less than ideal.
Wow. Wow. That's like off the top rope. That's way beyond less than ideal.
Have you ever had to ask?
No, because you checked before.
You do.
No.
You do.
Sometimes.
No.
Never.
No, you do scouting.
I don't care if you're pinching everything as tightly as you can.
Yep.
You got to reach underneath that thing and see if there's something there. And if not, you go to door number 2. It's like Monty Hall here. I don't know what to say.
See, Felipe, this is the difference. You're a basketball guy. We're hockey guys. We're used to changing on the fly. Okay, no. We're just while moving. We're like, no toilet paper. Got to go to the next one. Right? No. So you
Mark
call
driving
all those timeouts. You know, you need time to get your act together. We're hockey guys. We do it on the fly.
Mark driving over the Skyway Bridge, less than ideal. Boy, you got
really
that right.
That's a good one.
Tua considering retirement. Tua's next concussion. We've had a bunch of Tua texts. All right. Yes, all less than ideal. So just keep that in mind. We did have someone say the Green Bay Packers quarterback situation after 30 years is finally less than ideal. Speaking of which, quick tangent before we go back to less than ideal and the Clutch Vodka play of the day. You know how there was whispers about CJ Stroud, which are now being spoken out loud about concerns and why he's probably not going number 2. And if the Colts by chance don't take him at 4, apparently CJ Stroud could, suffer a noticeable drop in where he goes in this draft. Okay, we'll see. Apparently the whispers are starting about this whole Aaron Rodgers Jets thing. And how, I don't know, maybe it won't happen. At which point, Mark, I have to say, the Jets quarterback situation becomes less than ideal.
It really does.
I'm going to go out on a limb and look at their quarterback depth chart and go, this is less than ideal. Never mind, where do you go from here? The old red COO there. Where are you going to go? Well, I don't think the Jets know. Wait, what? We have to come up with a plan B? What are you talking about? So we have apparently 2 weeks ago, we have figured out the poker death stare match correctly. That it's over a draft pick and that Friday, a week from tonight, rounds 2 and 3, when the Jets have the back-to-back second-round picks, the Packers want one of them. And that the thought is that if the Jets can't get the Packers to accept their offer by Friday night, and the draft comes and goes, and the Jets hold on to those 2 second-rounders and make their picks, then the Packers are in a death stare with the Jets. So between now and like 8 o'clock Friday night next week, the Jets have the leverage. And by 8:30 next Friday night, the Packers are like, it ain't never going to happen, boys. See ya. Apparently the Packers want a first-round pick in 2024. Period. End of sentence. Not conditional. Jets are like, oh, hell, we don't even know if he's going to play in 2024. He'll be 40, 41. Packers like, yeah, don't care. Don't care. Non-negotiable. First-round pick 2024. Apparently, they're willing to be flexible about what they get next Friday. Which second-round pick, or maybe even just a third. But apparently, they want a 2024 first-rounder. Period. End of sentence.
Would you do it if you were the Jets, David?
Once again,
I would.
Through next Friday? No. I'm expecting them to cave. They hold firm through next Friday. I'm screwed. I'm in trouble now. Uh-oh. They're winning the bluff.
I'd want that to be everything, by the way. That would be it.
So you'd be willing, if you're the Packers, to just say, listen.
No, if I were the Jets, I'll do that deal. But you're not getting anything this year then. You want my first rounder in 2024. Fine. That's what you get. That's your pick. Give me Aaron Rodgers. Enough.
And yeah, the Jets and the maneuvers, my bad. Thanks for the correction in the Twitch chat room. Jets actually don't have a third this year, but they have the, 41-42 or 42-43, something like that. They have back-to-back second-round picks in a good spot.
Time now for our Clutch Vodka play of the day. That's Clutch with the K. Felipe, what do we have?
Joel Embiid might be suspended for kicking Nick Claxton in the ding-dong, but he had a clutch play towards the end of the game. Sixers up 2. Nets with an opportunity to tie it. Embiid with the block and the recovery to seal the game.
It goes to Dinwiddie. Takes it in into Maxey. Rejected by Embiid. Rejected by Embiid with the whistle. Embiid can beat you in a number of ways.
Harlan put on a masterclass last night, I think. As he always does. I mean, I think he's the best announcer the NBA has.
Really? That's interesting.
It's him and Breen for me.
Well, they're the two number ones. It's interesting. You chose the one over the other. That's all I'm saying.
1A, 1B. How about that?
Nope. Got to make
No.
it. Nope.
No. That's
No.
not. No.
No.
You just said he's the best.
Yeah.
You can't make a defiant statement in this business and backtrack it within 4 seconds of making the
It's
statement.
because they're different.
No. That's of course they are. Which one's better?
Felipe, this is like a pizza taste test. 2 pepperoni slices right in front of you. Got to choose which one you like more. That's all.
Like, personally, I think Harlan is better.
There you go. That's it.
There you go.
Mike Green is better, objectively speaking, but personally.
So personally, one's better, but objectively, the other better. It's the worst answer I've ever heard in my life. You know what that is? Less than ideal. You know what I need right now? Clutch vodka. Clutch with the K. Because there was nothing about that answer that you just gave that was clutch. Not with a C, not with a K. If you put 2 letters before the C and a K, we might be able to figure something out.
If someone said Breen, I wouldn't be mad.
We're asking you your opinion, and you can't give one. You have to have an opinion. At some point, when I ask you, do you like A better than B, you have to say, well, I think they're about the same.
Yeah, I like AB.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka play of the day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN play of the day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the play of the day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka play of the day?
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka play of the day.
That's Clutch with a K.
Hello, friends and family of Southwest Florida. Are you looking to tap into the electric vehicle market? Well, look no further, because we here at Southwest Florida Golf Carts have just what you need. E-bikes, golf carts, LSVs, scooters, and more. Come down and talk with one of our experienced sales reps, have a soda and a smile, and you could be cruising the streets in your new EV today. Stop by the store or visit our website at flgolfcarts.com and enter for a chance to win $100 off your next purchase by answering John's monthly sports question.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6 and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Felipe, I think that's our thing we're sending out in the 7 o'clock hour.
There's no doubt.
Miller and Moulton realized Felipe's having trouble making a decision, and then you can just, you can just play it all out. In which you go, I like him, but I really like him. I could see him. I could also see him.
I'm open. I'm
No,
an open person.
No, you're a politician.
You're sleep deprived.
You have no backbone.
You're staggering.
You can't wait till your girlfriend asks you.
Yeah.
Am I the best sex you've ever had?
Well,
let me see.
Well, she goes, you're pretty good, but Tony, some people would say Tony.
Oh man.
I could see where I would say Tony, but no, I'll vote for Felipe.
But
Right. Am I the best boyfriend you've ever had? No, I say yes, but my family said you don't forget about Tony. And Tony was good too.
I grew up with a brother and a bunch of cousins who are all guys. So we have literally done that with like athletes my whole life. Just what about this guy? What about this guy? What about this guy?
But you have to at some
point
rank them.
Who's your favorite?
Right, one.
It wasn't a debate of who the best
Wait,
player of all time was.
I can have multiple.
No,
favorites.
you can't.
No. You can have multiple that you like, but there's only one favorite. If you have a top 5 list, what's number 1? Also, I will say, and I know you're still trying to figure out what it is you enjoy most and what have you. If you're gonna do radio, you gotta be definitive. Wishy-washy doesn't work on the radio.
All right. Kirwan is the greatest.
Well,
he does NFL, he does college basketball, he does NBA. He's amazing.
Okay, then put him first.
All right, I'll put him first.
You only put him first because you told him to. He can't make a decision. He is.
Hey.
It's because I also love Mike Breen.
I know you do. That's why I said that. Because you played the sounder, bang. We know how much you love Breen, and that's why when you said, I think Kevin Harlan's the best, that's why I went, whoa, because we know your love of Mike Breen. Bang! Right. Like rough, tough powder puff, better cook, mom or grandma. Hey, only room for one. My family, it was easy. There was only one cook.
I'm with you, Paul. It's mom in my book, too. Grandma was good. Grandma did pancakes better than mom, but mom did most everything else better. Grandma could do a mean breakfast. And mom figured out how to cook her fish, so after that, it was game over.
10 seconds.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
"22 minutes before the hour, Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Pat Kirwan at the top of the hour. Talk plenty of NFL. There's Aaron Rodgers news that's out there. We'll get to it. Can the Lightning survive this? I mean, let's be honest. We had fun. They won game one, and, the nation was in a fetal position when the game started last night and the whole deal. But
Boy, not for long. Early penalty, and
right.
Toronto scores a power play goal. They fight off a couple of their own penalties with some good saves, a lot of blocked shots, and then Tampa was, run over.
Doesn't this feel like the Suns-Clippers series when Kawhi was healthy? He didn't have Paul George. He was able to win one game in Phoenix. It was 1-1 going back to L.A. Clippers still thought yesterday, hey, we can win this series. And then all of a sudden, Kawhi can't play. Now, they still got a bunch of good players. They have a championship coach, the whole deal. But, they're not going to beat the Suns without – they're not going to beat the Suns probably without Paul George. But to beat them without Paul George and Kawhi, they have no shot to win 4 out of 7. If Hedman can't go, I know it's the Lightning. I know they haven't lost a series to an Eastern Conference team in 4 years. Can they beat Toronto without Hedman?
I don't think so.
I don't
I really don't. It sucks. Because if they get him back, they can control where he plays in these next 2 games at home. It's the beauty of last change. You can match him up against that top line, who played pretty well last night, by the way. Toronto got their stars to play like stars last night.
Mm-hmm.
Every single one of them. And with last change, you can slow that, but you need Hedman. You need the back line there, and that's what worries me, David.
Can they win 1 out of 2 in Tampa without him? And I'm thinking, can they just get back to Toronto 2-2 and then get them back?
Yes, because they have Vasilevsky.
And last change. So they at least have a chance half the time with the matchups. That's because if they say Hedman's day-to-day, the odds of a hockey player missing 10 days, missing the final 5 games of a series or 6 games of a series, in which now we all know they lie, but if you're a Lightning fan right now, aren't you just trying to listen? Can we just go 1-1, 2-2, and then maybe we get Cernak and Hedman back, and we take our shot?
I think that's David. It's less than ideal of what's going on right now with the Tampa Bay Lightning.
Yes, in the words of the Florida Division of Emergency Management, it is.
And it's emergency management for the Lightning right now, as banged up as they are. I'm with you. Somehow get one of the next 2. Get yourself to 2-2. Hope you get healthy. Your defense is back because you're going to have to steal one more in Toronto, I believe.
And keep shortening the series. 1-1, 2-2, and then obviously, my goodness, imagine if the Leafs had to play a game 7. Oh my goodness. The pressure that would be on them. The biggest game of their lives. Most pressure they've ever had in their lives. And for the Lightning, it'd be like, oh, I don't know, it's like our 12th one of these. This is fun. We usually do pretty well in these, by the way.
And Toronto's brought in some players that have some playoff history. That's what they did at the deadline. They brought in some players that have made long runs, that know what the playoff experience is about. But even for them, the same thing would apply.
Okay. Now let's apply this to the Panthers and the Heat. It's 1-1. Panthers, listen, they've played Boston, and not just this week, throughout the year. If you want to take regular season games into play, they have played the Bruins, 6 times this year? They're 3-3. They've also scored 4 or more goals against the Bruins, 3 times? Nobody's done that. Did you hear the stat, by the way? The Bruins, before game 2 against the Panthers, had played 42 home games. 42 home games. Do you know how many 5-on-5 even strength goals they had given up in 42 home games? 46. For the season, including game 1 of the playoffs. 46. Panthers had 4 or 5 even strength goals in that game 2 win. So, for whatever reason, the Panthers and Bergeron still,
out with an injury. It's no longer the flu. We now know it's an injury.
Goes back to the regular season finale in Montreal. Apparently, by the way, he's skating by himself. He's not part of team workouts. So people don't think he'll play game 3 at the very least, which is tonight, 7:30, TNT. Just so you know. And with that in mind, if we're just trying to get the Lightning through the next 2 at home, go back to Toronto 2-2. Can we play that same game with the Heat? Can they just steal 1 at home? Keep shortening this series.
Same thing for the Panthers. I mean, really and truly. Got to get 1. Ideally, it would be great for both of these teams to get game 3, to apply a little pressure to the favorite, to put them in a bit of a corner, down 2-1.
Well, the other thing that the Panthers would then do, if the Panthers could win tonight, no matter how they win, Bruins are going to change goalies. I mean, because they did something that no team's ever done. They had a number 1 goalie win 40 or more games. They had a number 2 goalie win 20 or more games. No team's ever done that in the history of the league. I mean, they look at their number 2 goalie as kind of Felipe with Kevin Harlan and Mike Breen, 1A and 1B. They really do look at their goalies that way. But, I mean, if you can force the Bruins in, they're the ones that all of a sudden have to start making the lineup changes. They haven't had to adjust to anybody all year, and all of a sudden they're in the playoffs and they're having to make adjustments.
You've been the better. If you're the Florida Panthers, you've been the better team 4 of the 6 periods, for sure.
Yep.
And now you have home ice. Now it's going to be like the Rangers-Devils game last night. I would imagine that 40% of that crowd is going to be Bruins fans.
Well, goodness knows we know all the New Englanders on the west coast of Florida are going to drive across the alley. They may make a weekend of it and go to both games.
So it'll be filled with Bruin fans tonight.
I mean, please, they can get in for $100. They can't get in at TD Gardens for $100. Are you serious? So I'm just wondering, between the Lightning, the Panthers, and the Heat, first off, do we think any of those 3 will be up 3-1? Or do we think the best they can do at home is get a split? I don't think any of the 3 are up 3-1. I don't think the Heat can win 2 at home. I don't think the Panthers will win 2 at home. Could they? Sure. Will they? No.
By the way, if you were to bet on 1, and I know you said none of them can, give me the team that you think is the best odds to win both home games.
Well, I'd have to pick the Panthers, as ridiculous as that sounds, against the historically greatest team in the history of the league in the regular season. But the Panthers at least are fully healthy.
Bingo.
The Lightning and Heat are not. And while Hedman's not their best player, he's their second most important player. I mean, the goalie's the most important, but he's second most important. It's kind of like with Tyler Hero. Tyler Hero's not their best player. And Felipe's more of a Heat fan than the two of us. But I mean, is he the second or third most important player on the Heat? It's one or the other.
I'd say right now he's probably the third.
Okay. So, I mean, I have to admit the league keeps getting softer and softer and more perimeter every minute. And so I keep wondering Bam's significance versus Tyler Hero's going forward.
In the scoring league that it is. And I understand where you're at, that I think Bam's the better player. I think David's argument is simply that Tyler Hero could be more important, because if you don't have his scoring in a scoring league now, where are you?
Right, but with a team that lacks rebounding so much, you need.
I know.
No,
yeah. So the Lightning are missing their second most important player, and the Heat are missing their third most important player. And the Panthers, didn't they just get Bennett back?
Yes.
And he had been out a while. Right. I mean, so they're as healthy as they've been all year.
Which puts Stahl on the fourth line where he belongs. It
right.
Gives them a lot more depth.
Yes. And not only that, Stahl's one of those guys that in the playoffs become so valuable. He can go out, he can take on the other team's number one center, he can win faceoffs when you're trying to protect the 1-goal lead. I mean, those guys have so much value in the playoffs.
Well, and that's the other thing with Hedman out and Cernak out, because he's their second best, arguably their second best defenseman.
Yeah, I mean, second or third, but
yeah, you can't lose both.
No.
And in the concussion protocol world, I don't know if you can expect Cernak back much before Game 5.
Yeah. Which is when the guy who concussed him the earliest, he can come back because he was suspended for 3 games. So I'm just wondering, the Florida teams that are active here in the playoffs, they're all 1-1. They're all home. Right now, if you were a fan of the Lightning, the Panthers, and the Heat, and I say to you, I'll give you a 2-2 right now, don't all three of you sign that piece of paper?
21,000 is the text line. Would you sign David's deal? Whatever team you back, the Panthers, the Heat, the Lightning, just to get it to 2-2.
Or would you find that less than ideal?
Well, it's definitely less than ideal. 3-1 would be ideal, but the logical sports fan has to understand where their teams are.
I think 3-1 would be cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. Happy.
Got that right.
But just wondering, can we actually apply the same rules to the Panthers and Heat that we're applying to the Lightning? I think you definitely can to the Heat. They're the underdogs, and now they're shorthanded, because we're going to assume going forward that Milwaukee's going to have Giannis. The Heat have shot 60 and 54% in the first 2 games of this series, by the way. 60 and 54%. It's one of the 5 worst offensive teams in the league, which goes back to my point. Milwaukee's a lot more vulnerable than I think people are willing to acknowledge. Their defense is a mess, has been the final 6 weeks of the season. They can't guard anybody. If you can't guard the Heat, you can't play defense.
Because the Heat have been offensively challenged for most of the year, and they've put up 2 big scoring games. The problem is that the Heat, who have been so good defensively for so long, are not this year.
No, and certainly not against Milwaukee. Their front line, I mean, without Giannis, they overwhelmed Bam and Kevin Love and company. I mean, Bobby Portis alone beat the Heat in the first half last game. They were 8 minutes into the game. He had 7 rebounds. Bobby Portis.
So what do you think if we give you 2-2? 21,000 is the text line. Felipe, you're a Heat guy. Would you sign up for 2-2 right now?
Yes.
There you go.
And as a Lightning homer, as my adopted team in Florida, I couldn't get too fast enough with how banged up the Lightning are. And the Panthers are the underdog. Just keep extending this series. Keep stretching it out as long as you can, because the pressure will come on the Bruins the same way we were talking about the pressure would come on the Leafs.
It would be remarkable if the Panthers have one more win left in them, period, if it could be tonight. Because the Bruins haven't played a pressure game all year. And they would show up to the rink on Sunday and they'd be playing a pressure hockey game.
We switch from the ice to the football field with Pat Kirwan next. We'll talk draft on the other side. Pat Kirwan from the NFL Network's Moving the Change. He is next on Miller and Moulton.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN Play of the Day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the Play of the Day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day?
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
That's Clutch with a K.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6 and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
Hello, friends and family of Southwest Florida. Are you looking to tap into the electric vehicle market? Well, look no further, because we here at Southwest Florida Golf Carts have just what you need. E-bikes, golf carts, LSVs, scooters, and more. Come down and talk with one of our experienced sales reps, have a soda and a smile, and you could be cruising the streets in your new EV today. Stop by the store or visit our website at flgolfcarts.com and enter for a chance to win $100 off your next purchase by answering John's monthly sports question.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again.
Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Good morning, boys.
Hey, Pat.
Morning.
How are you? I've
Good.
enjoyed, you were a football GM, but, you might be a better hockey GM. You were going off there. And, Bart just lets you rumble. When you start rumbling hockey, I'm convinced no one's going to be 3-1 the way you're talking.
I'm convinced. Well, if anybody's going to be 3-1, it's going to be Toronto, and I hate to say it, and that really sucks because Tampa's banged up.
Yeah. Well, they've had a nice run.
Yes, they have.
In a sport with a lot of contact, it's hard to stay on top. But as David said,
and a hard cap, and a dead hard cap makes it really difficult.
Well, hard cap is a good thing.
controls the owners from themselves.
100%. And hockey had no choice because they have ones that would want to spend probably a lot more differential than there is in other sports.
How bad is their TV deal? I don't follow that, but I mean,
well, for them, it's the best one they've ever had by far. But compared to, I mean, never mind the NFL, but I mean, even compared to basketball and baseball, like they get $400 million a year from Turner. No, they get $400 million a year from ESPN. They get $250 or $300 a year from Turner. And so you throw in a couple of little things on the side. They're basically getting $750 million tops from
That's terrible.
Right. And, obviously Thursday Night Football is getting $1.1 billion.
Yeah.
Hey, Pat, we got a question. Any rumors you're hearing about the Steelers? Because I won't ask that on air, probably.
I have talked to those guys. I said, what are you doing, fellas? Signing Patrick Peterson and what's his name, the receiver?
Robinson. Yeah.
Here's what I heard on. First off, my man Eddie Donatel coached Patrick. All right. And Brad Childress coached the receiver. And both guys, without them knowing, I was asking the other guy, I said, how fast can those guys run? And both guys said 5 flat in the 40. Because they cannot run anymore. Patrick can't run, and the receiver can't run. And the receiver couldn't run in Chicago. So I sent a note to Omar going, hey, before you sign him, I just heard he ran 5 flat the last time he was timed. He sends a note back to me, too late. Oh, God. So those guys, they can't run. So they're going to find out real fast that they're going to need to get younger players. What do I think the Steelers are going to do? Just bullshitting with really Cowher, because Cowher talks to Omar a lot. I don't think they'd pass on the corner if they got one. They're kind of nervous about that.
Okay. Do you think if Jalen Carter gets past Detroit,
30 seconds.
He will not.
But if he did, do you think Pittsburgh would take their second-round pick, move ahead of Philly, and take him?
I don't think anyone's going to let him.
Okay.
And I think it's not that I want to avoid the question, but I don't think he's going to make it, number one. And number two, I think as he falls, if he ever fell that far, someone would be saying, we got the next Warren Sapp deal. It's going to fall in our lap.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
It is the third and final hour of Miller and Moulton on this Friday. For those in Lake City and surrounding areas, Tampa, St. Pete, Port Charlotte, and Venice. We're just halfway home. For those in the 239, Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. EJ Hradek from the NHL Network will join us in 35 minutes as we continue to talk some Stanley Cup playoffs. But Pat Kirwan joins us once again. He of NFL Radio and Moving the Chains, weekday afternoons from 3 to 7. He's also part of CBS's NFL Today show. And Pat joins us twice a week through the draft, courtesy of Pinchers from Tampa to Key West, and a dozen points in between. Pinchers, because you can't fake fresh. Is your board done? Are you ready?
Well, here's what I say about boards. You can go to the Staples and buy one for $50 and write all the names down you want, or you can spend $20 million and do it the NFL team. So I have callers now that call me and say they have a board, and I never, ever hold myself back from laughing at them. No. You don't have a board, and I'm bored with that conversation. But no, I don't have a board done. But look, I try to talk to as many people as I can to get little pieces and hints. I will say one thing that happened this week since we talked on Tuesday that I think has annoyed, I'll leave it at that word, a number of clubs is all of a sudden Zay Flowers showing up at Pat Mahomes' workout. A, he's a Florida kid, so at this time you can work him out at his place, or B, you can work him out at Boston College, or C, you can visit your facility. But showing up in Texas under the direction of the club did not sit well with a bunch of people in this league.
All right, Pat, let's talk more draft and the quarterbacks. What the hell's going on with C.J. Stroud? This was going to be the second pick. Now he's slipping. What are you hearing? What's happening?
Yeah, there are some issues there. Not everybody cares about him. There's a lot of things that you test and you work on and you interview, and he has not fared that well. I've interviewed him face to face, and he's been terrific with me. But usually when you get to these things, there's either an injury that you didn't know about, which is you can eliminate that one, or there's a test result or the way he handles something. I don't think he's going to fall that far, because when you look at the Georgia game, how do the Colts pass that guy? They're not going to pass him.
Thank you.
So this is a blessing for the Colts. And let's get to Houston, since the only way he gets to the Colts is Houston decides not to take a quarterback. Are they out of their minds? Because you took Davis Mills and you thought he was good enough. You talked yourself into that one, and you passed on a quarterback last year. Now you're going to pass again, maybe. That means next year be the first time you take one. That means 4 years before you even have a chance of knowing if you have a franchise quarterback. What GM gets 4 years to do that? No one. Come on, Nick, take the quarterback.
Do you think they're trying to be too cute by half and, maybe go best defensive player on the board at 2, and then there's a quarterback they like that is 4th or 5th on most people's boards, and they feel they can get him at 12?
Or be prepared to move up and,
right.
Jump up for Hooker or Richardson.
Right, because they have 2 2s and a high 3 also. So they have draft capital where they could move up from 12.
Yes, and then reach for one of the 2 I just mentioned, who I think would be the ones that would be reachable from 12. Well, here's the problem. Yes, I love it. But neither one of those guys can play on opening day this year. One has got a medical he's coming off, and the other guy just has not played enough football to go on the field. It's not a good situation. They need a guy that could play right away, because that's their situation. You put Davis Mills on that field, and Texan fans aren't buying hot dogs and beers because they're not going to the game.
We shall see what the Texans do with 2 and then 12, as we talked about it yesterday as well on the show. Pat, what's the most value? I'm seeing more tight ends with first-round grades than receivers. There's 1 million corners in this draft. Where's the value in this draft?
Well, one of the things I did all week was work on teams that really need to take a player in the first 3 rounds because they need him to start or be a role player, nickelback, etc. And then where's the depth in the draft and what positions? And this is what's going to push names up the draft when you don't have enough players for the need of the team. So when you go start looking at the league that way, which is what they all are doing, you start asking yourself supply and demand. So we talked a little bit about this the other day, cornerback. I got 21 teams that need to take cornerback in the first 3 rounds. So when you ask yourself that, are there 21? And I say the cutoff at the 3rd round, because you start begging yourself that you're getting a starter in the 4th round. You're starting to make things up. I don't think they're going to have enough of them. I think they're going to run out before teams that absolutely need one are going to get one. Now, and the same thing is going to be true with wide receiver. I got 19 teams that need to take some kind of a wide receiver, slot, X, Z, whatever. And I don't think they're going to be able to get that in the first 3 rounds. So will a 4th rounder show up? Be good? Yeah, we all know the outliers. We all know the history of it. But those are the positions I'd worry about, quite honestly. You can get a running back in a college free agent that can play for you. So the depth at the running back is in really good shape. You can hold off until day 3 and get a guy that you can hand the ball to on opening day.
How many of the tight ends do you regard as first rounders? I've seen 2 and I've seen 3. And I ask it because I'm thinking about the Cowboys. Maybe the worst secret of this draft, besides Bryce Young to Carolina at 1, is the fact that Dallas, barring a nuclear event, is going to take a tight end at 26. Well, they need one of them to be there. And the run could start as early as like 15.
Yeah, I don't think it will, David. I mean, I hear you loud and clear, and we all know the 3 names: Mayer, Kincaid, and Washington. But the reason I don't think that's going to happen is that there are other tight ends that are going to be more than suitable on teams. And this week I spent time with the South Dakota State kid, Tyler Kraft. Good player, a guy that can come in and play, and very athletic. I've also spent time with Payne Durham. He's going to be a day 3 pick, I think, from the Purdue kid, and he's a good player. Josh Wiley from Cincinnati can play. So I think when you're looking at those guys up top and you're going to pass on an offensive tackle or pass on one of those cornerbacks, you what are the elite positions? Tight end's not one of them. It's just not one of them. So when you're looking and saying, well, we got a 33-year-old left tackle, I'm going to pass on a first-round graded tackle in order to take a tight end, I think you're going to see guys get afraid to do that.
But Pat, the tackle position, from everything I'm reading, and you study this, you're at the Senior Bowl, you talk to these guys, you're talking to scouts on a daily basis. The tackle position's really thin. How many, you talk about going to the 3rd round. What is there, maybe 8 guys going to the 3rd round that you can take at that position?
Yeah, I was referencing David's point about taking a tight end at 15. There might be one of those elite tackles still left on the board. There's going to be a very good corner right on the board. There might be a pass rusher like Van Ness still on the board. He's getting hot as could be, I'll tell you that right now. Because people that are studying him are getting excited about a left defensive end on 1st down and an inside tackle on 3rd down. And I talked to Kirk Ferentz about him. It's all ahead of him. And David would love him. He was a very good hockey player, David, just by the way, in case you're looking for big hockey players.
Well, Van Ness and also the Pitt defensive lineman, I think both of them could go mid to late teens and be sensational.
So there's the point about tight ends. How do I take a tight end in the 1st round and leave those kind of guys on the board? It's hard.
Did it surprise you that Robinson, the Texas running back, came out yesterday and said, only 2 teams asked to visit?
No,
and they were Philly and Tampa.
No, because you just referenced the Pitt tackle, Cansey. He didn't visit anybody. He had 0 visits. So a lot of guys don't like to show their hand. And if you know what you need to know, how fast he is, how smart he is, you're going to skip the visit part of it. So it doesn't surprise me. Timmy Ryan used to say to me all the time, the Bears never talked to me, never visited me, and they drafted me. And Jimmy Miller had the same experience.
Well,
So
didn't the Jags do that? Was it Bortles or Gabbert? Which one was it? Bortles, right? It took him 3rd overall, never talked to him.
Right. So you get there's a lot of reasons you bring guys in, and not all of them are you want to take them in the 1st round. So I'm not surprised by that. And when you see a guy take 30 visits, it's they didn't do enough work in the fall, and they don't know him well enough. Like that kid, Julius Brents, he's got 30 visits because he came on late and he came on at the combine, and all of a sudden the numbers jived with what they thought they saw on film, but they understudied him. I talked to his agent the other day. He goes, the guy is 30 teams, and now he's probably moved into the 2nd round, where I bet you 2 months ago he was a 4th rounder.
How much better is Robinson than the rest of the running backs? You just talked about you can get a guy as as a free agent that's going to be able to play. So how far could Robinson drop, or is he that good that someone will take him at some point in the 1st round because they think he's a difference maker?
Yeah, well, I'm with you. Good question. Look, if your board is rated on, those boards, David, those big boards everyone's talking about. If you're doing it by best players, you're going to have them up pretty high. even if you don't need a running back, when you're grading the players, you're grading them against each other on a value board, which is the board people reference sometimes as position boards. But he's going to be up pretty high. I don't know how that guy gets out of the top 12 picks. I think people are saying, look, everyone thought no one should take the running back Pittsburgh took. Oh, don't take him in the first round. He's been a very good player for them. I think Bijan Robinson is going to go. He might go 10th because Philadelphia, who always thought Jalen Carter was going to fall to him, ain't falling to him.
Boy, I'll tell you, that is a position they have not put value on, though. All right. Those that are very close to the Eagles that I know, Pat, would be shocked if they went Robinson at 10, even though they know he'll be the highest rated player on their board. It's just not a position that they value. I'm wondering, does he get past Houston at 12? If so, he could fall to Tampa. If he gets past Houston at 12, look out. I'm just saying.
I think his football grade's high enough. He's going to get drafted higher.
He's Pat Kirwan. More with Pat on the other side. EJ Hradek talking Stanley Cup playoffs in 25 minutes here on Miller and Moulton.
Hello, friends and family of Southwest Florida. Are you looking to tap into the electric vehicle market? Well, look no further because we here at Southwest Florida Golf Carts have just what you need. E-bikes, golf carts, LSVs, scooters, and more. Come down and talk with one of our experienced sales reps, have a soda and a smile, and you could be cruising the streets in your new EV today. Stop by the store or visit our website at flgolfcarts.com and enter for a chance to win $100 off your next purchase by answering John's monthly sports question.
Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here. Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
When are the Blades?
You have a great clock in your head, Mark. When you get a break, I don't care if you got to take a leak or get a glass of water. You know exactly how many seconds you have before you have to get back. You both walked and sat down at the exact same time.
It's like we've done this for a while.
Yeah, I think so. What were you asking me about the Blades?
When's do their playoffs start?
Saturday and Monday are their first two games. And then they'll be in Fort Myers on Wednesday.
Oh, they're opening on the road. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, they finished 4th.
They almost didn't make it. They were struggling there. Brad Childress has become pretty interesting friends with the GM over there.
With Brush?
Yeah, because it all worked because they were both taking physical rehab at the same place at the same time, and they were laying on the the beds there, getting ice packs and talking about sports. So this went on for like a month, and now they talk all the time. I talked to Brian Branch yesterday. I don't know if he's going to be great, but he's going to win the interview process, man. He's very impressive to talk to.
Who?
The safety / nickelback from Alabama.
Alabama.
He's a problem solver for someone. He can play nickel, corner, safety. I don't know if I'd put him at corner. He's not fast. He kind of likes safety. But he's a good blitzer, which makes him a nickel.
Yeah, I have to admit, their scheme at times last year, I thought some of the guys on defense played slow last year.
The safeties are slow.
Yeah.
If you look at Battle and Helms, those guys are all 4-6 guys.
Well, yes, and if you watch the Tennessee film, you wouldn't draft either of them because they were flat-footed and caught in the slot guarding the two best receivers Tennessee had, and they ran right by them all day.
Yeah, I talked to Hyatt yesterday too, and I said, "Tell me about the Alabama game." He goes, "I just ran by those guys."
He did.
I know.
He did. He ran right by. Well, he had a running start, and the safeties that they had him on in the slot were flat-footed.
Yeah,
it was ridiculous.
I like that Hyatt kid. He's lightning bolt. And what's impressive about him was, he pointed out, when Cedric Tillman went down, I think it was week 5 or 6. So now you only have to focus on him, and he delivered.
Mm-hmm.
I asked the Giants about him. They like him, but they said he's got a maturity issue. Anyway, Mark, I was working around the answer to your question. CJ did terrible on his S2 test.
Yeah, that's what it seems.
Really, no, not bad. Alarmingly bad.
By the way, I have a gut feeling, just a gut feeling, that either Saquon's going to play 1 year on the tag and that's it with the Giants, or that if the Giants get the right running back in the draft, they may pull the tag offer. I get the sense that, they offered him $13 million a year and he said no. And I think the Giants are at the point in which they're like, we ain't offering you any more money, dude.
I think they are to your point, I think they're at the point where they don't think he's signable.
Right.
And I also think they're anticipating he's going to be a problem.
Correct.
And look, the running back world is falling apart for all of them. And you start looking at that whole dimension of what's going on with that. And you got all these tag guys, Josh Jacobs, Pollard signed his. But these guys all should sign him.
All right.
You're not finding $10 million on the street. Speaking of that, tight ends. Did you see what I'll get to that later.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
21 minutes past the hour, remaining moments with Pat Kirwan from NFL Radio's Moving the Chains, which is weekdays 3 to 7 on Sirius XM Channel 88. He's also part of CBS's NFL Today show. He and they will have the Super Bowl this year. Pat will be broadcasting the draft on NFL Radio next week from Kansas City. He joins us once again courtesy of Pinchers, Tampa to Key West, all points in between Pinchers because you can't fake fresh. All right, now remaining moments quickly. It takes a week to 10 days in NFL rumor world for stuff to become public. People were whispering for 10 days about CJ Stroud. There's stuff going on, some aptitude test he didn't go well with, and it took 10 days, and now it's public. Well, now the whispers are, this Jets Packers Aaron Rodgers thing, this thing may fall apart. Do you think that there's something to this, or is this just the poker game?
Well, the poker players are two, Green Bay and the Jets. The guy who's not playing poker yet is Rodgers. So Rodgers could get into this equation and change the whole climate. How does he do that? He shows up in Green Bay and says, I'm playing. Now it's a $60 million problem. And what player on the team is supporting Jordan Love? They don't want him in the building. if he felt like, and he's not ready to come, we all know he doesn't like the springtime, but if he wanted to move this along, he'd show up in Green Bay and every media outlet in the country would be there. So once he gets in the poker game, it'll go fast.
Reportedly, Mark, that after the report that this deal, maybe there's some trouble to it, Rodgers reportedly this morning, I think it was Tom Pelissero, told his agent, it's Jets or retirement. Just make sure everybody knows that. It's Jets or retirement.
Yeah, he's and that's fine. But he could change the climate and negotiations and all that business by just saying, I'm on my way in, get my locker ready. And you know what I'm going to do the first day? I think I'm going to max out on the squat rack, just in case you want to see me get hurt, and now you owe me the 60.
And we saw this happen and play out with Favre showing up and get traded that way. So we'll see how this all plays out now with Aaron Rodgers, talking with Pat Kirwan. And Pat, obviously, the draft is a big thing. We did get a question from one of our listeners that says, how common is it for teams to have framework of a trade in place if X happens? So just kind of take us into the GM room. How many deals are being talked about now as they prepare for Thursday and Friday?
Well, that's what they are doing. That's the job between now and the draft, is setting up structurally trades. And we've talked about it on the show before, where you would be like, look, hey, if the guy we want's there, we'd like to move to your spot. It's 3 up from us. Here's what we give you. The answer you get every time is, well, if the guy we want's gone, yeah, we'd be interested. And as long as that's the compensation, we'd do it. So you set those up because you can never get them done in the few minutes you get between it. Plus, you're talking to 3 or 4 teams at the same time. The thing that's interesting to me, and I'll work on it over the weekend, is how many tradable players are in this draft. Where you say, look at Miami, they don't have any picks. Now all of a sudden, well, people are calling about Cedric Wilson. You know, what are they telling you? We need picks. We got guys to give. And there's going to be a lot of guys, I think. You know, I don't think the Trey Lance thing will really happen. But Joe Mixon, you know, cut or move him. Eckler, Jonah Williams. So there'll be a list of about 20 guys that people know are going to be used to advance in the draft.
Well, what's going on with the whole Cook and Minnesota thing? Why are they having to get rid of him? Is their cap situation that bad? I mean,
yeah, they have less than $2 million of cap space.
Well, but he's one of your 5 best players.
Well, they paid Madison, number one, and the running back community is being reduced from $10 million averages to $6 million averages. And when the Jones kid in the Green Bay said he's very lucky to take that pay cut, it's a good sign of where things are going. We talked about the franchise tag running backs. Nobody's negotiating with them. They intend on playing them on the tag, maybe twice, and say goodbye. And those running backs know the market's falling apart unless your name's McCaffrey.
Can the Vikings get a 2nd-round pick for Dalvin Cook?
No.
Really?
No, because he's got a medical history now. And number 2, that no one wants to pay. The running back market, financial market, is falling apart. It's flattening straight down. And it's the same thing with tight ends. We were talking about tight ends before. Quickly, I'll say this. Look at the 2 tight ends that were franchise tagged last year. Now look at the deals they take the year after that. So when I hear they're getting ready to sign Evan Ingram, who's on an $11 million tag, and Gesicki's basically on a 1-year, $4 million deal after being tagged last year, the tight end market's falling apart just like the running back market.
And Pat, this is another really good tight end draft, correct?
Correct. And you can get a tight end. Now, are they as good as Gesicki? Maybe not. But you can get young tight ends that have been playing a kind of brand of football that really relates to the NFL right now, slots and outside guys and everything else, for really, really cheap money. And that's what they all want to do. So those are the 2 markets that are going down the drain.
If the draft were to fall perfectly for Jason Light and Todd Bowles, who do you think the Bucs would want at 19?
If it fell perfectly for them, they need a left tackle for starters, right? They absolutely need a left tackle. If it was perfect for them, I'd be talking about getting a left tackle. Now everyone says, "Well, get a quarterback." I know you don't like the quarterback. You got Baker to hold you over. You need a left tackle that's a 10-year starter. That's perfect in my mind.
I'm wondering if maybe they trade with Belichick, Mark. They move up to 14 because remember, they had to move up to make sure they got worse. He was the fourth tackle. They had to move up to get him at 14. All right. And I'm wondering if they're thinking the exact same thing, Mark, that Skoronski or whomever starts the tackle run with Chicago at 9. And all of a sudden it's like, oh, blank, we got to move.
Yep. I think I think Paris Johnson will go first, just talking to Paul Alexander, how he sees him. And then the Skoronski thing, I thought he'd be 2, but I don't anymore because of he's a guard. I think they'll talk him. I like Broderick Jones. Now there's the guy for Tampa.
I think the Tennessee.
Is this Northwestern thing just an arm length thing? He's big enough. Why do they think he can't play tackles? Is it because he played guard? Is the move not there?
Personally, I think he's a tackle and he'll be fine. But he's got short arms. You got GMs in this league are trait guys, whether they're extensions of Gil Brandt, and that there's a lot of extensions of Gil Brandt, second, third generations away from him. But if you're a traits guy, 6'4" and short arms is not what you're going to do at left tackle.
Darnell Wright blocked Will Anderson all day. Okay. How in the world does he not go in the top 15 of this draft?
Well, I don't know why he wouldn't go in the top 15. I've had him up pretty high. I had him at 15 to Green Bay.
Okay.
Enough with Bakhtiari. Time to say goodbye to that contract.
Because that's the guy, Mark, that if I'm Tampa Bay, I'm moving up for. And I think Pat hit the team I got to get ahead of. And Belichick's willing to deal at 14. I think I might have to move up to 14 to get a tackle if I'm Tampa.
Well, ironically, don't you think New England leads a left tackle? They didn't even bring back Isaiah Wynn.
Pat, quite frankly, Belichick's the best of all time, but what the hell is he doing, quite frankly? Their roster's a mess. They don't seem to have a plan, honestly. And Mac Jones, if I was Mac, I'm glad he's mad at me. I want out, quite frankly. The personnel on this side of the ball sucks.
All right, Mark and I know you belong in New England. I'll do my best to get you to Foxborough. Save the day, David.
I'm sure Bill would take his call right away, Pat. Don't you think?
Oh, yeah. And then the other Bill would hit you with a baseball bat. Billy O'Brien.
He's Pat Kirwan. He comes with his Louisville Slugger. NFL Radio moving the chains. Weekday afternoons 3 to 7. CBS's NFL Today show. He'll be live in Kansas City broadcasting the draft next week. We'll talk to him beforehand. Pat joins us once again, courtesy of Pinchers. Pat, have a great weekend.
Back at you, fellas. Enjoy your time this weekend. Get ready. I know, Mark, I feel bad for you that you're going to have to listen to the GM for the next 10 days. Oh, my God.
Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN Play of the Day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the Play of the Day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day?
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
That's Clutch with a K.
Hello, friends and family of Southwest Florida. Are you looking to tap into the electric vehicle market? Well, look no further because we here at Southwest Florida Golf Carts have just what you need. E-bikes, golf carts, LSVs, scooters, and more. Come down and talk with one of our experienced sales reps, have a soda and a smile, and you could be cruising the streets in your new EV today. Stop by the store or visit our website at flgolfcarts.com and enter for a chance to win $100 off your next purchase by answering John's monthly sports question.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6 and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Do you follow JP Peterson?
Yes.
Did you see the tweet he sent out?
The fight?
Yeah. Did
Yeah.
you see that fight when it happened?
I did not.
That's
a good fight.
It was a good fight. Went back and forth. I think Janelle won it, but Shen had that 5-second thing where he got his left hand free and he was just pummeling him. Even the announcers brought up McDonough last night.
Yeah.
It was funny. Some of the guys paired up in Zurich. It had never been paired up before. One of them's that I think it's a Keith Mitchell. I don't know. Anyway, he's a Georgia Bulldog, and he's with Sung J M. And so they did the presser afterwards, and Mitchell goes, "Well, Sung J M was teaching me Korean words all day," and they started going through a couple of them. He goes, "And I taught him about Georgia football."
I was wondering if they just with this thing, hey, you want to play? I mean, is this like the fourth event at the club? You know, it's like we have the member guest, it's a big one, of the member, and then we got like one other thing. It's the buddy, and it's like, hey, you want to play on that one? Yeah, sure. That sounds good. We'll play. mean, that's kind of what this tournament. I looked at some of the pairings. I'm like,
Well, remember George used to love playing it for the fishing. He would like to play that week to go fishing. Those that probably didn't play Hilton Head, right?
Right.
Here we go.
Do we have them?
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
22 minutes before the hour, Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. EJ Hradek of NHL Network, hoping to join us here in the next couple of moments. Lightning and Panthers both return home, both 1-1. Panthers play tonight and Sunday. Tonight's game against the Bruins, 7:30 TNT. Lightning game tomorrow night, 7 o'clock TBS. So there. EJ Hradek of the NHL Network, kind enough to join us. So what do you think of these playoffs so far, huh?
There was a lot of crazy things going on. Hard to predict, but it's been a fun first 4 days.
Well, let's start with the Panthers and the Bruins because to us, the Panthers have really outplayed them at least 4 of the 6 periods. They've been able to get the split. If somehow they manage to win tonight, Boston could have pressure on them for the first time all year. How impressed have you been of what the Florida Panthers have done so far?
Really, really impressed, I have to say. I mean, the good news for the Panthers is they've really gotten their team finally together. They've had a lot of injury issues this year. With the exception, I mean, now they've got their number 3 goalie in the organization through a variety of circumstances, Alex Lyon. And he's played well, especially down the stretch and in these playoffs. So, but they get Sam Bennett back the other night. He responds with a goal in the game against the Bruins, and they get that really critical win up there in Boston. When they put the group together, they're a dangerous team because they can score goals, as we saw in Game 2, and they can play a physical brand of hockey. And Alex Lyon has been good enough in goal. So right now, the Boston Bruins, they've got to feel like they got to dig in a little bit. They've been missing their captain, Patrice Bergeron, and that's going to be a factor for them. Can he play in Game 3? If he plays, how effective he's going to be. But right now, the Florida Panthers got to be feeling really good about things. And it's kind of funny because last season they were the President's Trophy winner, and they had that kind of pressure that they carried into the playoffs. This year, they're definitely in a different situation, feeling like a little bit loose and playing really well. And the Bruins, like you said, that pressure could begin to mount on the Bruins if the Panthers continue to play well, and certainly if they get a win in Game 3 tonight at home.
EJ Hradek, NHL Network. He hosts NHL Now 4 to 6 weekdays. Follow EJ on Twitter, EJ Hradek _NHL, EJ Hradek _NHL. Well, the Panthers are getting healthy. The Lightning, anything but. It's a simple question. Can they win without Hedman, or is that just too big a hill to climb?
I think it's probably too big a hill to climb because they don't have the depth they've had on the blue line in previous years, and it's not just Hedman; it's Erik Chernak too. I mean, those are 2 really big forces on the blue line, particularly in penalty killing. I mean, it was Victor Hedman that impacts the game in every area, and Chernak is similar in that manner, in that in important parts of the game, Erik Chernak is a big factor for the Tampa Bay Lightning. So. The 2 most indispensable players on the Lightning are really Andrei Vasilevsky, and then I think next is Victor Hedman. And we've seen that play out over the last couple of years because they've had times when they've missed Stamkos for stretches, Brandon Point, Kucherov, and they've been able to win. But I think without Victor Hedman and then you add Chernak, I think it will be too difficult. And so much respect to the Tampa Bay Lightning and everything they've done there, but they will really be at in a tough spot if those guys can't come back and play. We'll see about Hedman. It looks like he's a little closer. It was a game-time decision yesterday. It didn't happen. I would think perhaps the fact that they know how a 7-game series works in Tampa, maybe that extra 48 hours, they had one game one, would give Hedman more of a chance to be more effective in the series. So we'll have to see. But I think to answer the question, I think it'll be a really, really difficult task to beat a good Toronto team if they don't have Hedman or Chernak moving forward.
If they don't have Hedman or Chernak for these next two games, I mean, if Tampa can just get back to Toronto, don't you think that if they can just get it back to Toronto at 2-2, that's a hell of an accomplishment all by itself, isn't it, EJ?
I would say so. If they don't have those players, I think that would be a big deal if they could get it back 2-2. So, I mean, I think they're, again, the experience of having played a 7-game series many, many times and understanding the dynamics of it and knowing, that it can stretch out, obviously, but I think the Lightning, that helps them. But I just think it's a tough hill to climb. When you think about, Ryan McDonough's, he was a salary cap casualty. They had to move him out last year. I mean, it's even like Jan Root is another veteran player they had on defense. They had to move him out. I mean, they've already got a defense that has some young players and some inexperience on the back end of that group. Now they had to dip, they had to go into their 7 and 8 D-man last night. I just think that's going to be a very, very difficult task. But hopefully Edmonton can come back to play, and hopefully Hradek can come back and play, because you want to see all these teams compete with their best players in the lineup. So we'll see what happens over the next 48 hours leading up to game time on Saturday.
6 series are 1-1. The 2 that are 2-0 are in the East. Which team down 0-2 to give the best chance to come back and make a series? Islanders returning home down 0-2. Devils have to go across the Hudson down 0-2.
Well, just based on the results, I would say the Islanders. I mean, they lost a 2-1 game and they lost a game in overtime, and it was a game where the Carolina Hurricanes had 6 power plays, the Islanders had none, and then in overtime, there was a missed high sticking call that kind of led to an opportunity, and the Kings were able to take advantage of it. So, I mean, I would say, based on those results, that the Islanders have a better opportunity. They're going home, which is another big thing. I mean, whereas the Devils lost 2 home games and were beaten pretty badly in both games, at least on the scoreboard. So, I think the Devils have a chance to go into Madison Square Garden and win Game 3. But I think, to answer your question, I think certainly the Islanders are probably in a better position of the 2 teams that are down 2 games tonight.
Is this just a matter of New Jersey needing playoff experience? They're a very fast team. They were a lot of fun to watch in the regular season. They kind of remind me of what Florida was a year ago, that they're a great regular season team that all of a sudden the ice shrunk in the playoffs and they found out what playoff hockey is all about.
Yeah, I think that's a factor. I mean, the Rangers went to the conference finals last year, and they certainly understand, what the difference is. They've got a lot of veteran players there with a lot of experience. I think, the Rangers also have, Shesterkin, who's one of the very best goalies in the league. In fact, his numbers over the last couple of months were outstanding after kind of a slow start by his standards earlier in the year. So, when you look at the Rangers lineup, they're pretty loaded in every area. And they'd be a tough team to beat under any circumstances in these playoffs. And, the Devils have a really good team, but to your point, they're not as experienced. I mean, I don't think they're as heavy as the Rangers. And, Vitek Vanacek, I thought he played well early in the game yesterday, but I think it's a lot to ask for the Devils to have Vitek Vanacek be the difference. Yes, he's been okay. He's got to be a little bit better, but the Devils have to be better. They have to be better on the power play when they have opportunities, and they certainly have to be better on the penalty kill, as the Rangers have kind of eaten them up with the man advantage.
Talking Stanley Cup playoffs with EJ Hradek of NHL Network. Joins us once again here on Miller and Moulton. All 4 series out west are 1-1. Which one most impressed with, surprises you the most? It's been fun out west.
Yeah, it's been the Wild West for sure. I think the one that surprises me, I think you have to think that Seattle giving the defending champions Avalanche so much trouble on these first 2 games. They were able to win game one. They had a 2-0 lead in game two, and they pushed the Avalanche right to the edge there. The Avs were able to rally to tie it in the second last night and then get the game winner, in the third, deep in the third period. But Seattle has played very, very well, and now they head back to Seattle. That should be kind of a wild crowd there at Climate Pledge Arena for their first ever home playoff game. I think the Avalanche have a tiger by the tail here, so it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. But the other series have been kind of crazy as well. It's been physical with Dallas and Minnesota. They're tied at 1 now. It'll be interesting. I'm sure Gustafsson will be back in goal for Minnesota after they went to Marc-Andre Fleury at game two. Vegas got their act together midway through the game last night. Winnipeg looked like just world beaters in the first game, and then really through the first 20, 25, 30 minutes of game two, and then Vegas was able to find their way, and they really finished that game strong. So that's going to be kind of an interesting series moving forward. And then Edmonton and LA was two really tight, tense games, and that might be my favorite series of all four, with the star power involved there on both sides.
Series looking an awful lot like it did last year too, when it ended up going 7. EJ, final question, actually off the playoff beaten path. Between Calgary, Pittsburgh, and Washington, who all three expected to be in the playoffs and missed it, which one of the three you think blows it up? Or do you think they all tinker?
I think they're all going to tinker. I mean, I think Washington, I think Ryan McClellan put the Capitals on a better path of the three teams. I mean, the Pittsburgh Penguins are already kind of blown it up a little bit. I guess they've parted ways with their general manager and their president of hockey operations. So I think that they've already done that. I don't think they're going to blow up their roster that much, though, no matter who comes in as the new general manager, because with Sidney Crosby and Chris Letang and Evgeny Malkin under contract, I think they're going to still work around those guys. I mean, and the same thing in Washington with Ovechkin and Backstrom, that they're working around an older core. I just think Brian McClellan in Washington, by kind of pulling the plug a little bit early on this season, moving some guys out, he got some assets in return, got some cap space to work with. I think it gives him the best opportunity. And, it's odd. Calgary's in a similar spot as Pittsburgh. They also decided to part ways with their general manager. So both of those teams have some work to do there and trying to figure out which path they're going to take. But I do think that I think in the end they're all kind of more in tinkering mode. I don't see any of those three teams kind of blowing up their whole roster and going into a full rebuild.
I know it's tough this time of year. Get some rest. Safe travels. Thanks for doing this.
I will. Take care.
EJ Hradek, NHL Network. He hosts NHL Now 4 to 6 weekdays. Follow him on Twitter, EJ Hradek, which is HRADEK, EJ Hradek _NHL. Just one series out west, Dallas, Minnesota. The Stars now returning to where they used to be the Stars is interesting, and the people there still remember, and they're still kind of bent out of shape about them leaving, number one. But number two, Minnesota's been using a goaltender rotation all year. And, the guy plays game one. He has 51 saves. They win in overtime. They don't play him in game two. They put Fleury in there. Fleury gets bombed for 7 goals. Now, they weren't his fault. And so now they're going to go back to the guy they normally play every other day for game 3. But, Mark, if you win,
you've got to go back to him. You have to go back to him.
Thank you.
And the postseason, there's no more superstitious group of people, even in the new world of hockey players, than hockey players. You can't do that. Fleury gave up a bunch of goals. You're right. They weren't all his fault, but he had a poor performance in the game. If you get 2 great performances out of one goalie, 1 poor performance, you can't do that to your locker room.
So, but all 4 series out west are 1-1, and 2 of the 4 series are 1-1 in the East. They both involve the Panthers and the Lightning. Panthers and Bruins tonight and Sunday. Lightning, Leafs tomorrow. Remember, you got to Turner. Got to go to Turner to watch the games this weekend. All right. Panthers, Bruins are on TNT tonight, 7:30. Lightning, Leafs are on TBS tomorrow, and it's at 7. Now, I know these pre-games have been taking long and what have you, but I don't want you missing the drop of the puck. Because like Mark missed the USA-Mexico friendly this week. He didn't know it was on TBS. He's looking around. He said, I'm going to bed.
FS1, I'm all over the place trying to find this thing. Where the hell's the soccer match at?
Right. It was on TBS. And that wasn't very funny. Ba-dum-bum.
Ties are never funny, David. A draw. Got to get that right.
So there we have it.
Miss any of the show, you can download the podcast, Florida Sports Network, or any place you get your podcast. Pat Kirwan, EJ Hradek in the hour. Heavy draft talk with Pat Kirwan. Got into a little bit of why CJ Stroud is slipping. We'll see how far. He doesn't see him going past 4, by the way.
Right. He thinks the Colts should be drug tested. He actually thinks Houston should be drug tested. They're not taking him at 2. He doesn't understand.
Forgive them if they go back and get a quarterback with their second pick, if that's their plan.
Right. But if you want a quarterback, should you really try to be too cute by half? Should you just take him at 2 and take the best player you can at 12? I mean, the Texans could come out of this draft with CJ Stroud and Bijan Robinson. I mean,
aren't you better immediately?
Yeah. Hello?
Miller and Moulton. Tampa, St. Pete, Lake City, Port Charlotte. Have a great weekend. We'll be back on Monday. The bonus hour in the 239 is next.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa Filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa Filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters.
Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN Play of the Day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the Play of the Day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day?
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
That's Clutch with a K.
Hello, friends and family of Southwest Florida. Are you looking to tap into the electric vehicle market? Well, look no further, because we here at Southwest Florida Golf Carts have just what you need. E-bikes, golf carts, LSVs, scooters, and more. Come down and talk with one of our experienced sales reps, have a soda and a smile, and you could be cruising the streets in your new EV today. Stop by the store or visit our website at flgolfcarts.com and enter for a chance to win $100 off your next purchase by answering John's monthly sports question.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again.
Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here. Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6 and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Rough Tough. I saw their weigh-in hype thing on Twitter, but I don't think I've seen either guy fight. Mark, have you?
No. I can't tell you the last time I've seen a boxing match, David. I really can't.
And it makes me think Rough Tough when the group that owns the UFC just bought the WWE. And there were a lot of people talking and saying, hey, will they get into boxing? Obviously, this group knows how to promote. And they know how to put on pay-per-view events.
They also know how to have affordable labor.
Correct. And if you're a boxing fan, since HBO got out of the business, Showtime's still kind of sort of in it. This is Showtime pay-per-view, isn't it? I mean, I think boxing needs somebody to like take it over.
Boxing's still a sport?
Yeah, exactly.
Everything is UFC now.
Right.
It's kind of sad. I like boxing.
And I have no interest in UFC.
Why? What?
I don't. I don't like some of the maneuvers in it. I think it's dirty.
Well, I mean, that's the name of the game right there.
Well, but I like my sports to be all about skill. And I just think that some of that is like a an alley fight. And that doesn't interest me.
A lot of it is ground game.
Right.
So,
yeah. But I can respect ground. I can respect that.
It's just not aesthetically pleasing to watch.
It's not.
For me, it's not. It's like for me, and you probably won't remember the. Oh gosh, what's the not the counterpuncher that was boring as hell? It was a great fighter from
Pernell Whitaker.
No, a little bit bigger, but he's one of them. The guy from Pensacola.
Oh, Roy Jones.
Roy Jones. His fights he was great.
Yeah, he was
they were boring.
Yeah. Nobody could hit him.
I mean, he was
it's like Floyd Mayweather.
Floyd Mayweather, same thing. You just couldn't hit him. It was after a while. It was okay.
That's true though. I think a good boxing match is a lot more aesthetically pleasing to watch. Like those Wilder Fury fights were some of the best fights I've ever seen in my lifetime. I mean, granted, Fury won more, but still, it was unbelievable. Ten seconds.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
It is the bonus hour. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Got a lot going on this weekend. Lightning and Panthers in hockey, the Heat in basketball, Blades start. Be curious to see how long this playoff run is, Mark. They're a fourth-place team in the regular season. They got to start on the road. When's the last time the Blades started a playoff series on the road? Especially in the first round. I was going to say, especially in the first round. They've been such a great regular season team. So, of course, that means nothing. Hell, the team you were with who snuck in last period of the season, went all the way to the finals.
These things can happen, particularly in hockey.
Right.
I'm fired up to watch Seattle's first home game against the Lanch. Just to see that crowd get into it, their first home playoff game should be quite an experience. You know, a little thing just off sports. You know, last week was a slow week. You had said, you know, everybody said it was a slow week, and we were getting to it. It felt this week's flown by. I think they even out because I got up this morning, literally came to work thinking it was a Thursday.
Oh, okay.
You know how great it is? Came to work thinking it's a Thursday. I woke up this morning thinking it was a Thursday. I'm getting ready. You send your text out. Usually David gets the pre-show text that I get from David is somewhere between 5:30 and 5:40, depending. Sometimes a little later, but usually in that 10-minute span, I get the text. Even sometimes I love it when it's a little earlier because I leave the house roughly 5:25 to 5:30 every morning. And I thought it was Thursday all damn day.
Huh. So, okay, from now on, I'll let you know because I start all my texts with day of the week and the date. So today, you know, Friday, April 21st.
Right. 5:26. I saw it and I went, I'll be damned. Look at that. This week's flown by.
I thought it was Thursday. It's Friday. Good thing Moulton texted me. I won't read the rest of it, but that's okay. All right. So I just wanted to mention that the Blades starting on the road in South Carolina before they come home Wednesday, Friday, Saturday next week. By the way, Pat Kirwan is such a big Blades fan.
How big is he? Sorry.
Thank you, Gene. So, you know, Pat Kirwan's got a pretty damn good gig. You know, he co-hosts the franchise show on NFL radio. I don't know if you're aware, next week's kind of a big deal. Got this thing called the NFL Draft. He's doing it. And his show. So, I mean, he's going to be on the air a lot.
Going to be on the air from 3 o'clock on Friday through midnight.
Right. The Thursday and Friday. So, I said to Pat, I go, man, I feel bad. You know, the Blades always start at home. You know, they'd be home this weekend, Friday, Saturday, and then, you know, they'd be on the road when you're in Kansas City for the draft. It would have worked out perfectly. Instead, it's reverse. You're not going to get to see your Blades. He goes, what the heck are you talking about? I go, well, I mean, you know, the draft's Thursday. They'll be home Wednesday night. You know, you'll obviously fly to Kansas City on Wednesday. He goes, well, why would I do that? I go, yeah, get ready for the show and the draft. He goes, I'll have all my notes with me. He goes, I'll get on a plane Thursday morning. I'll fly in, be ready to go. And I go, it's all because of the Blades, isn't it? He goes, damn right. So the NFL Draft, second fiddle to the Blades in the playoffs against the South Carolina Stingrays. Game 3 at home. He will have to miss game 4. Figure the series will be 2-1 either way. Okay. And then flies back. Plane lands just before they drop the puck for game 5.
I forgot to ask him during the break because I know like his wife or his brother or his people that he goes to get, they'll probably already be there. I will be his Uber if he needs it.
So Pat, if you're listening, we got your back. But just so you know, NFL Draft, second place to the Blades in the playoffs. Games 3 and 5 at the very least. He'll catch.
Unbelievable. And he is someone who works in sports because Pat doesn't really cheer at games. Pat gets into it. He likes when the Everblades score, but you're not going to see him standing, yelling, and clapping. He's still the sports GM at heart when he's watching.
But he does love the guy who has the ref uniform on and the glasses and who makes fun of the refs, who sits like 6 rows in front of him. He loves that guy.
He loves everything about it.
So that's why I got the Blades on my mind. Plus, I may go to my first ECHL game that does not involve the Florida Everblades tonight. All right. Because if the Blades get through the first round, they'll play the winner of Jacksonville and Gwinnett. Okay. So I may do some
scouting, are you?
Going to do some advanced scouting for the Blades. Going to text Brush my notes. All right. See if I get a response.
Good for you. Good for you.
And just hope that the response isn't, who is this?
Well, there's always that chance.
That's true. That could happen. That is for sure.
That would be less than ideal.
Thank you, which was the theme of the show all day. If you're just joining us, remember, we were all woken up at 4:45 a.m. yesterday by the Florida Emergency Management System. They sent out a tweet because there's no need to send out a release anymore. You just let your feelings known on Twitter, blue check mark or not. Let people decide whether or not it's you or not. All right. It's a whole game right now. It's very fun. So they sent out a tweet yesterday that said, we understand that the EAS warning at 4:45 a.m. was not ideal. That was the lead sentence in the tweet, that it was not ideal. Now, I'm trying to confirm, did DeSantis fire the company in charge, or has he just threatened to fire them? Because we sent out a tweet yesterday that said, oh, people are losing their jobs over this one. And we've had people in our Twitch chat room say that DeSantis fired them. I can only see that he's mad as hell and he's not going to take it anymore, and he's only threatened to fire him.
I have not seen they've been fired, but
here's what needs to be pointed out. Whoever the Yahoo was who was in charge of scheduling, do you know apparently he was going to do this every other month? Like, somebody got a hold of the rest of the year's schedule because it's done once a month. So they already know the date and time for the final 8 months of this calendar year. And I guess in May, July, September, November, they're planning on doing it at like 5 something in the afternoon. But in June, August, October, and December, they were going to do this sucker at 4:45 a.m. again.
From what I understand, it's because it was the same time they were doing them on television. Because it's the same emergency broadcast system that we've already seen. And we grew up watching these dumb things.
Well, once again, another reason why somebody really, and you and I are into suspending. Do we have to go straight to fire? We've always brought up what's wrong with a suspension. No, this is a case where somebody needs to be fired. Because if you're stupid enough to not know, A, no one's watching TV at that hour, so they're not going to see it, but our phones are all going to go off. We don't have to be awake or on our phone for it to make noise.
That's the biggest thing that every Florida news website has today, David, is how to set your emergency alert system settings.
But see, here's the deal. We don't want people changing their current settings. We need, this is like when kids are abducted. A hurricane is coming. Okay, no. We actually need this warning system. We need it to work. I need it to make No, we need it.
How was that again?
It's like when the truck is backing up. It's nice that it goes beep, beep, beep. It helps us out. It's like, the son of a gun. Guy's going to back into me.
Did get this text that said I turned off all my emergency alerts now. If the world comes to an end, I won't know if it actually happens.
Right. Isn't that exactly the opposite of what they're trying to do? That's why somebody has to be fired. Because once we get our pound of flesh, we go, oh, okay. Well,
this
at least
will never happen
lost.
again.
Yeah, right. Well, at least we got rid of that Yahoo. I can keep everything the same. Now we'll get it. Wait for it. 4:45 p.m.
And the other side of this is, everyone was inconvenienced. And I feel badly for all of you that were woken up. Somebody screwed up. One person is responsible for this. And he knew at 4:45 in the morning when his phone went off that he was responsible for this. And David, I don't know about you, but throughout life, whether it was as a child, whether it was something you did at work, we've all done something in which we screwed up. And you've got to pay the piper. And you try to get out of it as best you can. David, I got a bad grade, a bad science grade in 4th grade. The first time we went to the letter system, I didn't do any of these assignments for science class. And I got a D- by Mrs. McKenzie. The report cards came the day my parents were leaving for a trip to Marco Island, Florida. I got sick that day at school on purpose to make sure that report card didn't come home before vacation.
There you go.
And I pulled it off.
Nice.
Then I just didn't even tell my parents about the report card after vacation. Up until the point came when the teacher said, if we don't have this report card back with one of your parents' signatures on it, we're going to call home. And I left that report card out that day.
Uh-huh.
Dad got home first.
Let the beatings begin.
One of the 2 that I took from my father. And I knew it was coming.
Yep.
And that's kind of how I felt for that emergency broadcast employee yesterday who had to go into work knowing at 4:45 that there's a really good chance that his job was ending the moment he got to work.
Mark, when they did the feature story on us after our first act,
yes,
when I saw the Sunday paper and I saw the headline and it said dead air, when I saw the headline, I turned to my wife and I said, I'm getting fired next week.
Miller and Moulton, knowing our fate, the emergency guy now knows his.
The waterways of Naples are a beauty to behold, and the Bayfront Inn has multiple ways for guests to enjoy the water and have some fun. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn. Something for everyone. On 5th Avenue in Naples.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6 and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again.
Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here. Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around and get it.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Canada relief. What do you mean, what's the fate for Disney World? Please. It'll go to court. Court will have to decide whether or not what Disney did, reversing what DeSantis originally did is legal, which most people think it was, because they actually did send out public notices and all that, or whether or not, DeSantis is in the right. And then, he's only going to be governor for 4 more years, year and a half if he becomes president. So, Disney will outlast him. They'll be fine.
You know what I didn't know until yesterday? Is that he got married at Disney.
I know.
That is the ultimate irony.
Who?
Ron DeSantis.
DeSantis.
Are you kidding me?
No.
And I happened to be on TikTok yesterday, and SNL did a skit. And if I can find, you're not on TikTok, David, or I would send it to you. Or if you are, I will start sending you, because you can't watch them if you don't have the app. They had someone dressed up as the genie from Aladdin. Asked whether the Jafar SNL skit. Brilliant. San Diego, David, I'm just telling you, take the 2 minutes and watch the Jafar and SNL skit on DeSantis. You will howl. Howl. It's on the whole don't say gay thing.
Right. Good. Well, there's material there.
Material.
I mean, if you bring your
sides.
right,
Totally. Ooh, rough, tough. That would have been good if I'd had a stamp. Seriously? 20 million in gold stole? Wow.
Hey, what date is he talking about for a golf tournament?
We didn't even get that far. I got to call Danny today.
Okay. Are you thinking July or August?
I was thinking June.
Oh, okay. I have the whole month open for what it's worth.
It would either have to be the 10th or the 24th, and the 24th is probably a better date. Don't want to do it the day before Father's Day.
No, Father's Day is the next weekend.
Father's Day is the 18th.
Right. You said the 10th or the 20th. You said the day before. Do you mean the week before?
No, I said the 10th or the 24th. No way doing it the day before. You don't want to do it the day before Father's Day.
Oh, you mean not do it on the 17th. Correct.
Right.
There you go.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
21 minutes past the hour. Good, bad, and ugly. What's on tap? Today was the day when, along with our final thoughts. All about 20 minutes away. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. What are you shaking your head about? The music?
Yes.
This one's okay.
Really? The heavy breathing in the background doesn't throw you off?
What heavy breathing? What are you talking about? Seriously, what are you talking about? It's a horn.
Sure is, Felipe.
I'm okay with this one. I'm okay with this one. I was actually, I wasn't snapping the fingers or whatever, but there was a little bit of a head bob going. Okay. My right foot may have moved up and down a little bit. I'm just saying. I was okay with it. Anything that gets a little chair dancing going, I think, I don't know. It sounded cool to me. Kind of like, oh, wow, this must be a cool show. Listen to that music. It's our story. We're sticking to it.
Sounds like a plan.
You still 60-40? You think Embiid's getting suspended game 4?
Yes. The more I've watched it this morning, the more I think he'll get a suspension.
How the heck could they not eject him?
I have no idea. How is that not a flagrant 2? He kicked the man in the groin. His kick was every bit as hard as Draymond's stomp. Now,
I think it was harder. And I think it was even more intentional. Like, I do think, here's my thought about Draymond quickly. When Sabonis grabbed his left leg, he was already lifting his right leg up to get away. So I don't think that Draymond intentionally stomped on Sabonis until he was bringing his right leg down. And then he said, well, I'm going to stomp you in the chest. That at first he was just trying to get away. Meanwhile, the entire act that Embiid did was intentional. He was laying on the ground. He looked up at the guy. He took his right leg. He kicked him in the... I mean, there's nothing about that. I
don't know how they don't throw him out. I don't.
And obviously, since Philadelphia barely won the game...
And it was 2-12 into the game.
Right. You make the argument that, wow, they eject Embiid. I mean, Brooklyn might have won. And now if he's going to be suspended for game 4, which you think he will be, and I'm going to agree with you because your reasoning was excellent. At first, when you just said he's going to be suspended, I was like, And then you made your case, Mr. Miller, before the jury. And I went, oh, I'm buying what he's selling.
So you think the 3-0 has something to do with it?
Totally. It makes the NBA look like we're going to treat everybody the same. Just because the officials messed up doesn't mean Adam Silver, holding everybody the same standard. All right. As far as we're concerned, we're going to upgrade that to a flagrant 2. Therefore, he will not play game 4.
And that's the easy way they do it. They upgrade the foul. And since he wasn't kicked out, it was early. They suspend him for the game and they move on.
Now, do I think they do that if it's 2-1? No, I don't. I honestly don't. And this isn't conspiracy theory or what have you. I think Silver would tell Dumars we need to back our officials here. If that's what they ruled, then we're going to go with it. In the other one, they called it a flagrant 2. They ejected him. Like in theory, we should be reviewing flagrant 2s and ejections. I mean, the other thing that's preposterous is Harden gets ejected for what he did. Now, he did intentionally elbow the guy in the... he did. The guy was up close guarding him. Harden held the ball. And right as he's about to dribble, takes his left elbow up close. I mean, they're breathing on each other. And he just gives him a little... right in the groin. And the guy's unable to move. He collapses. It was obvious. But if you don't eject Embiid for kicking a guy in the groin, how can you eject Harden for elbowing the guy in the groin?
Particularly when one was actually during a play and the other one wasn't.
So let me get this straight. Since you and listen, you convinced me, man. You made your closing argument and I was undecided sitting there and you convinced me. When we deliberate, I'm going to vote guilty. But now if we're suspending Embiid, okay, one guy kicked the guy in the groin. The other guy elbowed the guy in the groin. The guy who elbowed the guy in the groin got ejected. Don't we have to suspend Harden also?
They threw him out so they won't. But they threw him out. They won't suspend him. The ejection will be enough because I'm going to bring the Draymond Green thing into this, David. They clearly stated with the Draymond suspension that it was past actions and inciting the crowd. I don't agree with their rationale behind it, but I'm just going off of how they administered their guilt on Draymond and their punishment for Draymond. They did it on past precedent. They don't have that with Harden, so they won't throw him out for another game. Embiid, they flat out missed. And they can come back and clearly say that it should have been a flagrant 2, and therefore he is gone for a game.
But how do you differentiate between the two? One guy kicked him in the junk, the other guy elbowed him in the junk. The fact that the officials decided the elbow was worse than the kick because they ejected Harden and didn't eject Embiid. Although I think they ejected Harden because of Embiid. But that's...
Bingo, 100%, David.
But to me, if I'm the NBA, I'm catching a lot of grief within the NBA for my decision to suspend Draymond Green. I mean, the league, within the 30 teams in the league, they did not agree with Joe Dumars' decision. I mean, Sacramento obviously did, but come on. The other 29 teams, for the most part, were like, whoa, really? And now this is the criteria you're going to use? Because let's face it, half the teams in the league got a guy. I mean, Luka gets 15 to 20 technicals a year. I mean, there's 15 teams in the league that got a jerk who gets 15 or so technicals every year. Seriously, half the league's got a guy like that. So now let me get this straight. Past actions are going to lead to suspensions? Oh, great. In playoff games? So, but if I'm the league, think how good I look if I suspend both Embiid and Harden for game 4. Say both actions were the same. The officials made a mistake, in our opinion, should have given Embiid a flagrant 2. One's a kick, one's an elbow, same general area. Don't know what to tell you. We're doing it to the one, got to do it to the other.
Felipe, I'm curious what you think. You're the NBA guy out of the three of us. You've seen the suspension that happened already. Do you think Embiid gets suspended for his groin kick?
Yes, it was pretty blatant, just like Draymond's.
Okay, and if you're suspending Embiid, are you suspending Harden?
I don't know that I would suspend Harden. Again, if you look at the move, I mean, yeah, he sticks his arm into it, but he was coming low off a crossover, trying to create some space.
No, Felipe, and you're describing it perfectly. Most of us, having watched the two incidents, think Embiid's incident's worse.
Absolutely.
And yet he got to stay in the game and Harden got ejected. But now you're the league. What do you do? The officials, are you going to basically say, we disagree with the first one, and quite frankly, we disagreed with the second one? He should have gone. He should have stayed. They got it wrong.
We called the wrong junk.
How badly do you think the league is praying that the Sixers can just sweep the Nets and get this series over with?
Well, they're going to decide whether it's a sweep or not by whether or not they suspend. It's another reason why, if I'm the league, I just suspend them both. Okay, so the series goes 5. Big deal. In fact,
who gets another home game out of the deal?
Yeah, and quite frankly, I bet Harden and Embiid would love the day off.
Playoff load management, suspension style.
The waterways of Naples are a beauty to behold, and the Bayfront Inn has multiple ways for guests to enjoy the water and have some fun. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn. Something for everyone. On 5th Avenue in Naples.
Hello, friends and family of Southwest Florida. Are you looking to tap into the electric vehicle market? Well, look no further, because we here at Southwest Florida Golf Carts have just what you need. E-bikes, golf carts, LSVs, scooters, and more. Come down and talk with one of our experienced sales reps, have a soda and a smile, and you could be cruising the streets in your new EV today. Stop by the store or visit our website at flgolfcarts.com and enter for a chance to win $100 off your next purchase by answering John's monthly sports question.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa Filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6 and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network. All right. Your queen would have been 97 today, David.
Oh.
And Charles Grodin would have been 88.
He was funnier.
Ha! How do you know?
Well, at least in public.
That's great mustard.
I've been running into a lot of Philip Seymour Hoffman stuff lately. God, it's all great.
Well, you know, like I said, I go down these TikTok holes, and when I start liking movie scenes, they start throwing more at you. And so that's what made me watch Charlie Wilson's War when he breaks the window.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
22 minutes before the hour is up, 16 until we're out of here. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Another big week next week. Days are dwindling for the draft. Stanley Cup and NBA playoffs continuing. You know, we got not one, but two Florida baseball teams that are above 500. Hell, the whole AL East is 500 or above. Who knows who's going to be pitching and playing for the Mets? And the Braves, they may lose as many games as the Rays the rest of this year. We just put those two in the World Series. There was a show that called for a Tampa Bay Atlanta World Series. It plays funky music in and out of the breaks. I'm just saying, we might actually get that one right.
Well, half of us will, because I had the Rays playing the Padres.
Well, it's positive. They got Tatis back now. They're a different team. You know, I mean, see how long until somebody gets a PED suspension over there, but that's all right.
That Braves-Rays would be a World Series for where we are. Because there are as many Braves fans where we live as any other team down here. If you're a longtime Southwest Floridian, the Braves might have been your first baseball team.
And now that they do spring training in the northern parts of Southwest Florida, sure. Absolutely.
It's time for someone to take back this segment, if for no other reason than to stop David from talking about Meghan and Harry. Here's Mark Miller with Today Was the Day When.
Feel like I'm missing stuff today because there's not a lot on my list. We start in 1865 when Lincoln's funeral train leaves Washington, D.C. 1898, the Spanish-American War. Congress recognizes that a state of war exists between the United States and Spain. 1904, Ty Cobb makes his pro debut in the South Atlantic League for Augusta. No word on whether they played the Savannah Bananas. 1918, the Red Baron is shot down and killed. Canadian pilot Arthur Roy Brown credited with the kill. In 48, we had the Basketball Association of America finals. The Baltimore Bullets beat the Philadelphia Warriors. I just wanted to get those two team names in. 51, the Leafs beat the Canadians for the Cup. 56, Elvis, Heartbreak Hotel becomes number one. In 63, the Beatles and the Rolling Stones meet for the first time. One of David's favorite days today in 77, Billy Martin pulls a lineup out of a hat, beats the Blue Jays 8-6.
It's fantastic. It's fantastic. He hadn't won a World Series yet. That was a gutsy move. Remember, his owner's Steinbrenner. Wait a minute. You did what? Yeah, man, we're struggling. I just, do something different. Pull the lineup out of a hat. Well, hell, I could do that. What am I hiring you for?
Today in 84, after 37 weeks as the number one album in the land, Thriller is knocked off the top of the charts. Do you care to take a stab, David, at what it was? I will give you a clue. It was a movie soundtrack that took Thriller down.
Was that the No,
You're in the right ballpark.
No, with Kevin Bacon and
Footloose.
Footloose. There you go. I almost said Flashdance, but
I
knew
know
it wasn't that because Flashdance was actually before Thriller.
The fact that you know that is scary in its own right.
Oh, come on. Those are prime years of my life right there. We're talking senior year of high school, freshman year of college. Are you kidding?
The hell were you doing watching Flashdance and listen to Footloose then?
Trying to lead to Make It Happen night. That's what I was trying to do.
Today in 86, one of the great television shows ever aired. Geraldo opens Capone's vault on live TV and finds absolutely nothing. And we all watched for 2 hours.
Yes, we did. The fact that LeBron gets grief for his hour-long decision. We did 2 hours with Geraldo and Capone's vault.
Nothing Compares to You by Sinead O'Connor, the Prince song #1 today in 1990. In 91, with the first pick of the draft, the Cowboys select Russell Maryland. Today in 93, Walker, Texas Rangers debuts on CBS, and Chuck Norris probably kicked somebody's ass. Mike Vick, taken first overall by the Falcons today in 2001. And Prince died today in 2016. Queen Elizabeth would have been 97. Charles Grodin would have been 88. Those that are celebrating birthdays today, Iggy Pop is 76. If anybody had the over on that one, please let me know. Tony Danza, 72. Robert Smith from The Cure is 64. Ken Caminiti is 60. Eddie Belfour is 58. Tony Romo and Vincent LeCavier are both 43 years old today. And that, David, today was a day when? What did I miss?
Well, a few tidbits. Tie a yellow ribbon around the old oak tree. #1 on this day 50 years ago in 73.
Tony Orlando and Dawn, right?
I believe so. Remember Rosie Ruiz? She faked winning the Boston Marathon?
Yes.
That was today in 1980. 1980. And I thought I had one other. Tiananmen Square was today in 89. So it was 34 years ago. And yeah, you did the biggie, Prince. 7 years, by the way. 7 years, it's Prince. Man.
Goes by very quickly.
It really can. Yep.
You've heard folks elsewhere mock Florida is gonna Florida. Well, Mark Miller sees it differently. He calls it the good, the bad, and the ugly. What you got, Mark?
JoJo Lewis is the good today. She's right here in our backyard. She became immersed in an online chess tutorial videos. Then she started playing against mom and dad. And the 7-year-old was kicking mom and dad's butt. So JoJo's dad began searching for a place for his daughter to play. Found at Gateway School, she is now practicing with the high school club team, where she's beating all of their behinds as well. Did I mention she's 7?
Yes.
For the bad, we go to Colombia, where late drug kingpin Pablo Escobar apparently liked hippos, and he brought a bunch of them to his compound. Now they're all over the country. There's over 100 of them with no natural predators. The only way to take them down, apparently, is with a car crash, because one was killed in a Colombian car crash earlier this week. What'd you hit? I ran into a hippo. Finally, the ugly. We'll come back to the gritty streets of Tice, Florida, where Fort Myers police are in search of a suspect that was caught on surveillance video walking onto a family's lanai and taking food from their fridge without consent. David, Sodas, tortillas, meats, and cheeses are only some of the items that the family has noticed gone missing. Happened about a month ago. So Miguel Lopez bought cameras just to keep an eye on the outdoor fridge.
There we go.
The thief was last seen wearing a black hoodie, black pants with 3 stripes, black shoes, and a dark-colored backpack. If you know or are aware of this snack heist, let Southwest Florida Crime Stoppers know. How pissed would you be if you had an outdoor fridge with snacks in it and you went out to get your snack and they were gone?
I'd lose my mind.
Would you go all Embiid or would you go all Draymond?
I'd go far enough to get suspended for a game. I'll tell you that. I mean, Mark, you know how I am when I have my heart set on a snack in particular, and all of a sudden it's not there. I mean, come on. When you open the fridge and something that you had saved for yourself is no longer there.
I mean, no one in my house would take it. I'm the one that steals other. My daughter goes in and goes, "What happened to my ice cream?"
Well, I have to admit, because I'm living with my mother-in-law now, and you know, she's getting older, and so some things are changing. And one of them is she's eating a lot more, and she's eating a lot of things that she didn't used to eat.
Uh-oh.
Yes. And she's my mother-in-law.
Right.
And the other person who lives in the condo, she's her mother. So she's got rank. So what can you say? So there have been some moments in the last 6+ months in which you open the fridge and it's not there. And you know who the guilty party is. And there's not a damn thing you can say. Never mind do.
You're SOL.
Right. In fact, now, little joke between the husband and wife, we go grocery shopping and we get things for us and we place a little gentleman's and gentle lady's bet. Which one of these will the mother or mother-in-law eat on us? Because she has her list, we get her stuff, and then we get stuff for us. How much of the stuff on our list will we not be able to eat?
All right. Have you resorted yet to trying to hide some of your stuff that you think the mother-in-law is going to take? You know, slip it on a higher shelf, put it in a drawer that she might not check.
No, because she'll open that fridge and sit in front of it for 3 minutes until she finds what she likes. You know, you and us, we'll give it 6 seconds or less. If it just whatever, bang.
You know what the bad part is, though? You're right, David. I give it 6 seconds or less, but I can make a lap around the kitchen, come back and open the thing and think something else is going to be in it. I've gone from the fridge to the pantry, back to the fridge, expecting something else to be in there.
Yep. I misplaced my wallet the other day. Did the same thing. All of a sudden, a different lap. Oh, I'll go counterclockwise around the condo. I'll find it that way. Right. And sure enough, did. All right. Baseball. You know how early part of this week we had no good teams playing each other?
Now they're all playing one another?
We actually have 5 series in which teams that are 500 or above are playing each other. One of them's the Marlins and the Guardians. It's a rematch of the 97 World Series. Miami's in Cleveland. Rays are home for the White Sox. But you got Toronto and the Yankees, Dodgers and Cubs, Red Sox and Brewers. One series that doesn't fit, but it could be a World Series preview, Houston, Atlanta. By the way, the Yankees and Braves games are both on Apple Plus. Remember, it's Friday. They do that special thing, which means that you can't see them. Hockey, Turner for the hockey tonight. Panthers, 7:30 TNT. Followed up by Edmonton and the Kings on TNT. The 2 series that nobody's interested in, Carolina and the Islanders, Stars and Wild, that's TBS, 7 and 9:30.
The Islanders are the only home favorite tonight, for what it's worth.
ESPN has an NBA doubleheader. Celtics Hawks early at 7, Nuggets T-Wolves late at 9:30. But the Knicks are getting ABC at 8:30. Yep.
No NBA TV for the New York team, David. See how that worked out, didn't you?
Nope. Knicks get ABC Friday night and ABC Sunday afternoon.
Oh my
Funny
gosh.
how that New York team with a pulse gets ABC.
2 games in the Garden. How could you not show that?
Just saying. The Celtics, arguably the greatest franchise in league history, were on NBA TV early in the week. The Knicks have won 1 playoff series in your lifetime. They get ABC.
By the way, Nick Nurse was just fired.
Well, he talked his way into that. A month ago, he basically said publicly, I don't want to be here anymore.
And this way he gets paid.
Right.
If you quit, you see, you don't get paid. If you get fired.
And that's probably why they did it, because they owe him a title and he's a good guy and they'll remember him fondly, and now he gets paid. Him and his wife, who's an FGCU alum, they'll come down to Southwest Florida. They'll vacation for a while. He'll have a job in about a month.
Now there's a better chance of maybe Nick Nurse joining us for some NBA playoff previews
at
some point during the postseason. His interview schedule just opened wide up. Miller and Moulton. Have a terrific weekend, everybody. We'll do this all over again Monday morning at 6 a.m. Be safe, and we'll talk to you on Monday.
Yeah. Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line's